anime. This is Anime Recap.
The Infinity Castle will be the last movie of Demon Slayer. We have to wait until 2029 for the last movie in the trilogy to be finished. The first part of Infinity Castle was a boom this year, but a lot of people are very curious about what happens next after the death of Upper Moon 3 Akaza. Can the Demon Slayer Corps defeat the Demon King? So, today I will provide a summary of this last battle of the Infinity Castle. As we already know from the ending of Demon Slayer Season 4, Kaguya decided to sacrifice his own life and that of his family in order to kill Muzan. However, when the Hashira gathered to deliver the final blow to the Demon King, Muzan opened multiple dimensions and dragged everyone into the Infinity Castle. Muzan finally boasts, "Did you really think you could corner me, you little rats? Go to hell and keep dreaming, you pathetic Demon Slayers!" Tanjiro is falling into a space where he is not sure where he is. This space was created by a blood demon art. Tanjiro clearly saw Tamayo blocking Muzan earlier. If he doesn't hurry to Muzan, Tamayo might not hold out. But first, he has to do something. He's free-falling. If he hits the ground, he'll be a smear. As he's thinking of a way to get out, Giyu luckily grabs Tanjiro's clothes and throws him to the ground safely. He just has time to say thank you before he has to use water breathing, first form, water surface slash to cut a demon. He cuts one, and then a whole herd of demons attacks. However, quantity does not equal quality. With only 2 swordsmen using water breathing, Tanjiro uses water wheel, while Giyu uses flowing dance to slice through the demons. Giyu can easily predict the moves Tanjiro will use next, selecting suitable techniques to coordinate with Tanjiro's calmants. They are truly a harmonious duo. Far away, the Serpent Pillar is also surrounded by a group of demons, but he easily takes care of them with serpent breathing, 5th form, slithering serpent. He and the Love Pillar are together. The Stone Pillar is with the Mist Pillar. In the Infinity Castle, everyone is separated. There are many demons in this castle. They are created with a strength equivalent to a lower moon demon. So Muzan had the intention of pushing all the pillars down here from the beginning. While together, the Stone Pillar told the Mist Pillar that Kaguya used himself as bait because the leader's life could no longer be prolonged. On the Wind Pillar's side, he sits in one place, blaming himself for not being able to protect Kaguya. A demon approaches and is sliced to pieces. Then, another herd. The Wind Pillar is sad and wants to vent, so he says, "Come on, all of you, attack!" As always, Inosuke runs around to find demons to slice. He doesn't know why he fell into this godforsaken place, but when demons appear, he just has to slice them. Zenitsu has also been brought to the Infinity Castle. He hears his senior nearby. He cannot forgive what Kaigaku has done and wants to find him to settle the score. The Insect Pillar, Shinobu, is alone. She smells the foul scent of blood. She opens the door and a scene of death unfolds. Corpses are strewn about. Facing her is Upper Moon 2, Douma, who is tearing off someone's flesh. He is happy to see the Insect Pillar because she looks young, healthy, and sweet to the bone. He silently thanks Nakime for bringing her here. Thinking back to Shinobu's past, when her sister, the former Flower Pillar, died, she told Shinobu before closing her eyes, "I know you've worked very hard and tried your best every day, but there is a better path for you. I wish for you to be happy like any other normal girl and live peacefully until you grow old. That is enough for me as a sister." After saying that, the former Flower Pillar passed away. The Insect Pillar cries in despair, saying that she will not give up. How could Shinobu live a normal life after witnessing the death of her beloved sister? And the one who caused that death is Douma, Upper Moon 2. Thanks to the demon's bloodstain on the top of his head, Shinobu recognized her enemy, who is right in front of her. When Douma sees such a delicious-looking mosquito, he smiles his perverted smile as always, and introduces himself. "My name is Douma. It's so nice to meet you." He talks about the beautiful evening. A beautiful evening with many corpses, a young girl who is still alive, and begging for help with her hands. Douma thinks it is rude and tells her to be silent. Shinobu just takes a light leap and carries the girl away from Douma, but he killed her right away. Douma is surprised at her speed and knows she is a pillar. Douma introduces himself as the one who established the Eternal Paradise faith. He says his mission is to make everyone worship him and feel happy, and then he just eats them all. Douma realizes that Shinobu has a grudge against him, even though he just met her. He wants to know the reason, but Shinobu is furious at Douma's cheerful demeanor. She grits her teeth and says, "What's bothering me? What's more maddening than seeing the guy who killed my sister right in front of me?" When Douma hears those words and sees the haori she is wearing, he also realizes that he once encountered a girl who used flower breathing, a sweet and gentle girl, and he couldn't eat her because the sun was about to rise. But he emphasizes that he really wanted to eat everything of Shinobu's sister. As soon as he finishes, Shinobu rushes forward and stabs her sword straight into Douma's eye. She uses insect breathing, dance of the bee sting, true flutter. Douma is very impressed with her speed. He uses his blood demon art, Withered Lotus, to fan a gust of freezing air, cold enough to rip out the lungs of an ordinary person. Shinobu quickly dodges the fan attack. Douma advises her to cut his head off instead of stabbing his face, as that won't kill him. But as soon as he finishes, the poison from Shinobu's sword has already penetrated Douma's face. Douma kneels on the ground and vomits a puddle of blood. He knew there was someone in the Demon Slayer Corps who used poison on Mount Natagumo, but this poison is much stronger than that one. However, Shinobu's poison can only kill normal demons, not an upper moon. Douma quickly decomposes Shinobu's poison and stands up. He actually knew Shinobu's sword was poisoned when she coated it. He sees that Shinobu is trying very hard, so he's going to let her die a bit more if she has any other poisons. Douma enjoys being attacked with poison. Shinobu, of course, does not refuse. If you want to die, I will send you off. Shinobu has already half-guessed what would happen. She raises her sword, preparing for a fierce and deadly battle. Shinobu has now stabbed Douma for the 5th time. It seems the battle is not going well for Shinobu, as the poisons she stabs into Douma are becoming less effective. The reason is that the poison cannot spread completely, and Douma's resistance to poison is abnormal. Douma even doubts the shelf life of the poison. He kindly asks how much time it took for Shinobu to make this poison. He says she seems tired and is having trouble breathing and sweating a lot. It is clear that he is teasing her. Douma explains that Shinobu's lungs have been damaged. Douma's blood demon art has penetrated and is slowly draining her blood. It is turning her frozen blood into frost. If Shinobu keeps using her breathing style now, it will be very dangerous. But Shinobu doesn't care. She wants to use more continuous techniques to increase the dose of poison. She does what she says. Shinobu uses insect breathing, dance of the dragonfly, compound eye hexagon, using high speed to stab and slice Douma's body continuously. Douma admits that Shinobu is very fast, the fastest among the pillars he has ever met. But this time, not only Douma is sliced, Shinobu is also sliced many times. Douma is wondering why with such high speed, Shinobu doesn't cut off his head, and why she is using poison. After looking her over, he guesses the reason is that Shinobu is too small. And as always, Shinobu is remembering her past, blaming herself that if she were taller, if she had more muscles, like the other pillars, she would have avenged her sister. Seeing this, lets her sister appear in her mind. The former flower pillar tells Shinobu, "Keep your dignity. Stay strong. Don't cry. Get up now." But with a lot of blood loss and a punctured lung, Shinobu cannot move or stand up. In addition, she has a very hard time breathing. The former flower pillar encourages her. Once you have decided to defeat Douma, then try to defeat him. Do everything you can to win. But after receiving a boost of strength and belief, Shinobu can stand up with a puddle of blood in front of her. Even with a broken clavicle, a punctured lung, and broken ribs, not to mention the massive blood loss, her effort is not insignificant. After that, Shinobu uses insect breathing, dance of the centipede, 100-legged zigzag, which makes Shinobu move around erratically at a very high speed, so fast that the naked eye cannot see her or predict her direction of attack. With one powerful stab, from below to above, Shinobu manages to stab Douma's neck, sticking him and her sword to the ceiling. When you kill one demon, you can save many people. But when you kill an upper moon, the number of people saved can be up to hundreds of thousands. Shinobu then falls down with her sword due to gravity. As she falls, Shinobu is furious, thinking of her mother, her sister, and her successor, all killed by demons. If everyone were still alive, wouldn't they be happy? But her biggest anger is that after all her effort to stab the poison into Douma's neck, he is completely unharmed. He quickly rushes to her and hugs her just before she hits the ground. He says, "I admire you. You always try your best. That's so impressive. A weak girl like you has tried so hard. Even though you cannot be compared to your sister, you did great. It's a miracle that you are still alive. A foolish girl like you still tries for something so meaningless every day. That's the madness and the miracle of humankind. Shinobu is truly a delicious and valuable meal. Let's live together forever, baby." But Shinobu's last words when Douma confesses his love are, "Go to hell." From outside, Kanao opens the door and sees her master being digested and absorbed by Douma. Kanao quickly uses flower-breathing fourth form, Crimson Hanagoromo, and jumps to slash. Even though Shinobu had signaled her to stop before, her speed is not enough. Douma still manages to dodge. He lands on the ground, still smiling brightly and absorbing Shinobu. He says, "Don't you know you should wait until I finish? Tonight is a truly beautiful night, with one delicious meal after another." Meanwhile, Zenitsu has been moving alone ever since he entered the Infinity Castle. He feels the demon he wants to meet is here. The demon who indirectly turned Zenitsu from a cowardly rookie into a cool swordsman. Zenitsu goes to a room and says, "Are you in there? Come out now. I know you are there." From inside the room, a voice says with a hand appearing, "That's not how you talk to your senior. You seem a little stronger than the last time we met, right? You still look like trash as ever. It's been a while, Zenitsu." It is Kaigaku, the senior and also the student of the former Thunder Pillar. Tanjiro always moves with Giyu, They just need to be careless for a moment, and they will be separated immediately. This building is like a living creature. It keeps trying to separate the demon slayers. As they are rushing to Muzan's location, the messenger crow announces that Shinobu has died. The insect pillar has sacrificed herself in battle against Douma, Upper Moon 2. Tanjiro is furious when he hears that. The messenger crow is also strange. It is wearing a talisman that can provide vision and transmit information instantly to the demon slayer core. The current leader is Kiriya Ubuyashiki, who is only 8 years old. He is the only son of the Ubuyashiki family, even though his parents and 2 older sisters just died. His face shows no sadness. In this situation, he cannot let a single tear or sign of grief show. His 2 younger sisters behind him are also the same. Their father, Kagaya, was very strict because he didn't have much time to live, so he had to teach his only son to grow up as soon as possible. And now, Kiriya has become the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps at a very young age. The information from the crows is that there are swordsmen fighting Upper Moons. Those swordsmen are Genya and Zenitsu. Neither of them is a pillar, but they are fighting Upper Moon demons. Returning to Zenitsu, Kaigaku is still the same. When he sees his junior, he scoffs. "You haven't changed. You look like a sick chicken. You're still weak as ever. Are you a pillar yet? Have you learned any new techniques other than that super lame first form?" Zenitsu just replies, "You seem happy to have become an Upper Moon. Why did you become a demon? Why did you, who mastered thunder breathing, decide to become a demon?" Zenitsu shouts, "Because of a jerk like you becoming a demon, my master had to commit suicide." The master he's talking about is the former Thunder Pillar. Zenitsu always considered his master his grandfather. The letter that Zenitsu found while training to push the boulder with the stone pillar was a letter about his master's death. His master had to die alone, with no one there. He chose to die by disembowelment. I wish someone had stood behind him and cut his head off when he disemboweled himself. That way, he wouldn't have to suffer such agonizing pain and loneliness. He chose to die in pain, instead of stabbing his throat or heart, because a user of thunder breathing had chosen to follow the path of a demon. Zenitsu keeps yelling as he says this. In response, Kaigaku doesn't care. It's not a problem for him. He won't regret it. He doesn't care. He isn't sad or remorseful about the Thunder Pillar. He will always be like that. No matter what, he will only follow those who value him. In fact, Kaigaku is extremely happy that the Thunder Pillar died in such pain because, to him, the Thunder Pillar didn't let him be the successor, even though he did everything he could. The Thunder Pillar even told Kaigaku to go on a mission with Zenitsu, something filthy in his mind. Zenitsu hears this and clenches his fists. The anger is almost at its peak. He says, "If I am filthy, then you are trash. I can only use the first form, but you are the opposite. You can use all of them, except for it. He died in vain. I feel sorry for him because he was unlucky enough to have a candidate like you as his successor." And so the battle between the 2 swordsmen who use thunder breathing begins. Kaigaku uses 4th form, Distant Thunder, creating a stream of dark lightning that rushes towards Zenitsu. Zenitsu responds. Both swordsmen quickly draw their swords and slash in the exact posture of their swordsmanship. One slash clearly shows the distance between the 2. Zenitsu's movements have changed as if he has become a different person. His speed and decisiveness are completely different from the Zenitsu that Kaigaku once knew. He was able to slash his senior, and now Kaigaku is terrified. When he was a demon slayer swordsman, Kaigaku encountered a powerful demon, Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. Kaigaku was defeated. He then knelt down, willing to do anything to not die, even if it meant bowing down to Upper Moon 1. When Kokushibo saw that, he saw his own shadow in a swordsman who wanted to live and grow in power. That is probably why he gave Kaigaku his blood so he could become a demon, and so it took a while for Kaigaku to transform into a demon. And so Upper Moon 1 threatened Kaigaku. "If you betray me, your head will be in one place and your body in another. Did you hear me? Back to the battle." When Kaigaku sees that Zenitsu can easily slash him like that, he is not pleased. Zenitsu used to be a good-for-nothing. No matter how strong he has become, Zenitsu can't defeat an Upper Moon like him. To Kaigaku, Zenitsu is something filthy, always crying and scared. He has no family or connections. But the former Thunder Pillar wanted Zenitsu to be his successor. That makes Kaigaku very angry, saying that Zenitsu and the former Thunder Pillar dying is inevitable. And so Kaigaku rushes in to fight. He uses the 2nd form of thunder breathing, Rice Spirit, slashing with continuous black lightning. After that, Kaigaku also uses 3rd form, Thunder Swarm, as he slashes and says, "Those who know my value and accept me are right, and those who don't know my value and don't accept me are wrong." After that, Kaigaku uses 5th form, Heat Lightning, with a powerful sword of lightning, which also causes no small amount of pain to Zenitsu. Kaigaku is this strong mostly because he is enhanced by demon blood. A single slash can tear flesh and burn the person who receives the blow with lightning. After that, Kaigaku uses 6th form, Rumble and Flash, multiple slashes that move at high speed. Those slashes will continuously burn Zenitsu. After that, Kaigaku boasts continuously that he is a special individual, not like Zenitsu, because Zenitsu is nothing but a small fry to him. Zenitsu is torn to shreds and falls to the ground. He has just remembered his grandfather. His grandfather once advised him to learn swordsmanship well like Kaigaku, because he is his senior. Zenitsu once fought other swordsmen because they dared to look down on and mock Kaigaku for not being able to use the first form of thunder breathing. Ever since he was a child, Zenitsu has always admired Kaigaku, always looked at his senior from behind because of his own weakness. Zenitsu apologizes to his grandfather and whispers to himself that this will be the end of the bond between the two disciples of the same master. After that, Zenitsu flips over and lands on the ground, using thunder-breathing 7th form Honoi Kazuchi, rushing forward with the speed of a god, a slash that is both fast and decisive. A golden dragon's head appears on the sword's trajectory and quickly finishes the battle. Kaigaku has no strength left, and when he falls to the ground, his body will be shattered. They will both die. That is Kaigaku's comfort. But that is only what he thinks. In reality, Yushiro is there. He mocks those who do not give and should not expect to receive. Those who only think about themselves, in the end, cannot receive anything. Because you are a person who cannot create anything in this world. Your death in solitude seems miserable, right? After saying that, Yushiro carries Zenitsu, who is falling, to heal him, leaving Kaigaku, who is slowly disintegrating. In his unconsciousness, Zenitsu sees his grandfather. He cries out, "I'm sorry, grandfather, because I couldn't befriend Kaigaku or respond to your letter. If I had gone with Kaigaku, he probably wouldn't have followed the path of a demon." He apologizes and asks his grandfather for forgiveness. In return, the former Thunder Pillar sheds tears and says that Zenitsu is his happiness and pride. Yushiro is still trying his best to save Zenitsu's life. He has to use an anti-demon blood coagulant to stop the wound on Zenitsu's face from spreading, otherwise it will tear Zenitsu's eyes apart. He also has to stop the bleeding. Yushiro also says that Kaigaku is a new Upper Moon, so he doesn't know how to use his blood demon art yet. If it were a year later, the one who died would probably be Zenitsu. Speaking of Yushiro, he is the only demon not created by Muzan and the only demon whom Tamayo turned. Speaking of Yushiro, he is the only demon not created by Muzan. Meanwhile, Tanjiro and Giyu are wondering why they haven't encountered an Upper Moon yet, as they are still far from Muzan. While they are talking, they suddenly see a punch that shakes everything violently. It is getting closer, coming from the ceiling. It is Akaza, Upper Moon 3. He happily greets Tanjiro. "It's been a long time, right? I'm surprised you're still alive, even though you're just a weakling." Tanjiro Kamado. On Muzan and Tamayo's side, Muzan has wrapped himself in a cocoon of flesh to decompose the demon to human medicine he absorbed. At some point, Tamayo will also be absorbed. On the other side, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps is still presiding over the great battle of the Demon Slayer Corps. The room is protected by two former pillars, the former Sound Pillar and the former Flame Pillar. On Nezuko and the former Water Pillar's side, the Water Pillar is still taking care of Nezuko because she seems to be in a lot of pain after drinking Tamayo's medicine, the medicine that helps Nezuko become human again. If that becomes a reality, Muzan's goal will fail. Muzan's wish to walk in the sunlight will vanish. The final battle will end tonight. The former Water Pillar silently prays for Tanjiro's safety and victory. Akaza rushes towards him immediately. Tanjiro uses sun breathing. Dance of the Fire God, Flame Wheel, jumping and turning to dodge the punch. After that, he makes a curved slash, cutting off Akaza's arm. This time is completely different from the last time. Tanjiro can now both dodge attacks and counterattack. Akaza can now confidently fight. But before he can think too much, Akaza brings his fist right up to Tanjiro's face. Tanjiro immediately uses sun breathing, setting sun evasion, which makes Akaza's punch go right through Tanjiro, leaving only an afterimage. He then comes back with a straight slash to Akaza's face. Giyu has to say that Tanjiro's technique has improved immensely. He can now be considered equal to a pillar, because even when facing Upper Moon 3, Tanjiro can cause no small amount of damage to him. From that day when a heavy snow fell and Tanjiro fell into the pit of despair, Tanjiro would smash his head on the ground and cry, begging Giyu not to kill Nezuko. But now, Tanjiro can fight. Life and happiness will not be stolen again. Akaza also says to Tanjiro, "I will now accept what the Flame Pillar said about you. You are not a weakling. I will show you my respect for you." After that, Akaza uses Destructive Kill, Compass Needle. The patterns that appear on Akaza's feet create an immense fighting spirit and murderous aura, shaking and shattering the wooden floor beneath him. Akaza confidently says, "Let's begin! It's time for the feast, baby!" Akaza has changed. Instead of his usual greeting, inviting the swordsman to become a demon, he is not doing that with Tanjiro. Giyu and Tanjiro fight side by side like true comrades against Akaza. Giyu uses water-breathing third form, flowing dance, to move and slash in an unpredictable curved trajectory. Akaza uses the technique Void Style, Arcane, a powerful kick from below that injures Tanjiro slightly even though he blocks it. Giyu then rushes in to take the hit for Tanjiro. He is now both attacking and defending for Tanjiro. When Akaza sees Giyu's exquisite swordsmanship, he wants to ask for Giyu's information so he can remember him better. He says if Giyu doesn't give him his name, he will keep asking until he gets it. Giyu, the water pillar, is not a person who gives his name just because someone asks. Akaza then uses the foot technique, Thousand-Fanged Flash, launching a series of powerful kicks at a very high speed, kicking Giyu back through several rooms. Tanjiro shouts Giyu's name, and now Akaza knows the water pillar's name. Now it is only Tanjiro and Akaza. Tanjiro uses Dance of the Fire God, Burning Bones, Summer Sun, while Akaza uses Destructive Kill, Annihilation Style. Tanjiro is pushed away. Akaza admits that Tanjiro has trained very hard after the Flame Pillar's death. He praises Tanjiro, saying that thanks to his kindness, Tanjiro has now improved. He feels happy about that. He feels glad that the Flame Pillar died that night because the Flame Pillar could not have become stronger, and his wish to remain human was a stupid one. Tanjiro is furious when he hears that. Who do you think you are? You trash? You bastard? Shut your mouth! Do you think you're worthy to talk about the Flame Pillar? Akaza is actually praising both of them because he despises weakness as it makes him sick. That is the law of nature. The weak will die. Tanjiro disagrees. The strong will protect the weaker, and those weaker ones will become stronger and will in turn protect those who are weaker than them. That is the true law of nature. Akaza's way of thinking is unforgivable. He won't let Akaza say such things again. Ever since Akaza first saw Tanjiro, he has felt annoyed. He feels uneasy, as if someone is scratching a metal plate with their fingernails. This uneasiness makes him want to smash everything, and now he realizes that this discomfort is not only because he feels Tanjiro is weak. Now that Tanjiro has become stronger, that feeling has not disappeared. Everything about Tanjiro, from his eyes to his voice and words, is like an axe that cuts all the chains that bind Akaza's heart. An image of someone, perhaps a father or a teacher, appears and says, "From the beginning, everyone was just a weak child. They all needed others' help, and from there, they grew up and remembered many things. But the path of comparing yourself to others, your archenemy is only yourself. You will become better if you keep training for 10, 20, or 30 years. In the future, you will be the one who stands up to protect those weaker than you." Akaza, in a trance, swings his hand and smashes the image he imagined in his mind. Could that be a part of Akaza's memory from when he was human? Akaza turns to Tanjiro and says, "As expected, Tanjiro, you're annoying." He immediately rushes towards him and uses Destructive Kill, 8-layered flash, punching down powerfully. The punch creates a powerful tremor. Tanjiro has a hard time dodging, but right after that, from below, Akaza uses another technique, Void Style, Flying Sun Wheel, a powerful kick to Tanjiro. Even if Tanjiro can predict his movements and block Akaza's attack, he can't completely dodge it. Akaza's techniques are too skillful. They pass through any gap with the accuracy of a compass, and all the attacks are aimed at Tanjiro's weak points, as if they have the power of a magnet. Tanjiro wonders how something or some technique can have such a powerful magnetic force. He doesn't let Tanjiro hesitate and continues to approach and attack him. However, Tanjiro's improvements are not just talk. He uses sun breathing, setting sun evasion to counterattack. One slash almost takes Akaza's head off if he hadn't retreated in time. When Tanjiro swings his sword, Akaza feels like he is lost in a mist. At this moment, Tanjiro is getting stronger by the minute. He is still fighting Akaza on equal terms. He rushes to attack with Solar Heat Haze. Akaza blocks the slash with his two hands and holds the sword tightly. Tanjiro is very quick-witted, using a technique inherited from his mother, the headbutt, which has defeated countless opponents. But it is the least effective against Akaza. Still unable to pull his sword out, he adds a kick from below. But Akaza still doesn't let go of the sword, and Giyu appears, cutting off both of Akaza's arms. Giyu has been quiet for a while. Now I'm really angry. Giyu never wants to use his skills at their peak, and never wants to fight those who destroy things just for their pleasure. But now, for the first time, Giyu encounters someone so strong that it overwhelms his mind. The water pillar quickly realizes how much Akaza has honed his fighting style and trained his physique. It awakens Giyu's senses that have been numbed, reaching the place called the pinnacle of life or death combat. And so, the Demon Slayer mark appears on the water pillar's face like streams of water. Giyu then flies forward and slashes at Akaza. The slash just grazes Akaza's neck. He is lucky to have leaned back and dodged in time. When the mark appeared, Giyu's speed increased 5-fold. It is too fast. But Akaza is not willing to lose. They both rush at each other. Giyu uses fourth form, striking Tide to slice Akaza's two arms. Akaza punches Giyu's forehead, making his nose bleed, and they both attack each other at a very high speed. Every time Giyu speeds up, Akaza also speeds up to match him immediately. But if this battle goes on, Giyu will lose. A human's endurance is not unlimited. The main goal is to kill Muzan. If they spend the whole night fighting Akaza, it will be over. They need to get to Tamayo quickly. If not, everyone will be dead. When Tanjiro thinks of that, he closes his eyes and calmly thinks about Akaza and how to defeat him. Why are Akaza's attacks so accurate and magnetic? Why can he react in time to attacks from behind or to his blind spots? Akaza once talked about his fighting spirit during his battle with the Flame Pillar. Tanjiro wonders if it is similar to the way he can smell everything. At this moment, Tanjiro remembers Inosuke, who has a very good sense of danger. It warns him in the area where the enemy is aiming. When an enemy with killing intent comes near Inosuke, his body will be warned, and he will feel a stabbing pain all over. But if the enemy does the opposite and has no killing intent, it is very hard for Inosuke to detect. And so this self-defense skill is useless. And so Inosuke thinks of a very good plan for those who have keen senses. He will approach the enemy without showing any killing intent, and the enemy will not realize he is there. And from there, there's no one I can't kill. From that, Tanjiro starts to wonder if Akaza can sense other people's fighting spirits. Is that any different from killing intent? Could it be the will to fight the enemy? Is it different from the way Tanjiro uses his sense of smell to detect everything? A bunch of questions are posed in Tanjiro's head. Meanwhile, Giyu is still forcing himself to fight Akaza. Tanjiro again thinks about the compass that Akaza uses for his techniques when fighting. What is that? And is there any way to interfere with it? Suddenly, Tanjiro sees a weakness in Akaza when he is fighting Giyu. He stops thinking and rushes in, using solar heat haze to bring his sword to Akaza's neck to cut his head off. But Akaza is once again able to detect and stop the attack perfectly, as if he has eyes on the back of his head. Tanjiro is then almost hit by Akaza in his weak point, his ribs, when attacking. Luckily, Giyu also comes back to help him and counterattacks. At this moment, Tanjiro is wide awake. He combines all the problems he was thinking about: Akaza, fighting spirit, compass magnet, killing intent, supreme territory, impossible land. From that, Tanjiro finally understands what is happening. He thinks about his old life, back when his father and family were still alive. Tanjiro's father loved plants. He was never angry, and his face always had a gentle expression, and that never changed, even when he only had a few days left to live. But when Tanjiro thinks of his father, what appears in his mind is his kind smile and his voice, as gentle as the babbling of a stream. On New Year's Day, every generation of the Kamado family must perform a specific dance, but it is very hard to learn, and they have to dance from sunset until sunrise. They just need to repeat the 12 parts of the Dance of the Fire God until the sun rises in the east. Even when he was bedridden, his father would perform this ritual every year. To do that, it's important to know how to breathe and move precisely, and also to know how to use the maximum strength in minimal movements. When you can do these things, your mind will become empty. His father told him to remember that he must find the movements and the feeling deep inside, using his 5 senses to feel the flow in his whole body, down to the smallest capillaries. At first, it was very hard to train. Even if he tried to hone his skills, he just felt like he was reaching his limit. So, for the Dance of the Fire God, Tanjiro should get rid of some unnecessary parts. Besides, his father told him that people who close their eyes when learning want to listen to what others say because they choose what they need at that moment. So when he masters it, Tanjiro can freely close and open his blood vessels and muscles in an instant. He can perform the movements simply, and the path created by light will open. And when your mind becomes empty, you will see the enlightened world. But that is also a place where Tanjiro struggles and endures pain, because this is also where human power reaches its limit. Tanjiro remembers 10 days before his illness took his father. On the other side of the mountain, a bear that attacked and ate humans appeared. The villagers would light a fire in baskets and carry a rope with bells. That night, Tanjiro's father called him to wake up and go outside to stand in front of the bell fence. The bear was huge. It was the bear that had eaten 6 people. Tanjiro's father was weak and only held an axe. He said, "I'm sorry. I know you're very hungry. But if you get any closer, I won't let you get away easily. Anyone who dares to harm my family, no matter what, don't expect me to show mercy or forgive them. If you still ignore my warning, I will take your life." The bear growled and rushed towards him, intending to hit Tanjiro's father with its hand. But he leaped up, and with 2 slashes of his axe, the bear's head was on the ground. However, his scent did not change at all. There was no fear or hesitation before or after he cut off the bear's head. There was no killing intent at all. After that, he turned to Tanjiro and said, "Did you see? Don't forget what you saw today." Through that, Tanjiro also learned the movements from his father, who had reached the enlightened world. Finally, Tanjiro understands why he was able to dodge Akaza's unavoidable attack, the thing that had been following Tanjiro throughout the battle. Akaza's punch hit Tanjiro's weak point, his ribs, which could have killed him instantly. That is also the reason why Tanjiro thinks he can win this battle. And at this moment, Tanjiro realizes a moment of that world, the enlightened world. He sees Akaza and Gyu's bodies as transparent. Something similar happened before when Tanjiro saw Hantengu hiding in his heart, something Tanjiro cannot see with the naked eye or smell from the demon. At this moment, Tanjiro prepares to close all his senses and only focus on the enlightened world. Tanjiro will use his strongest techniques to defeat Akaza. Because he has reached the enlightened world, his speed and dodging ability have increased significantly. Tanjiro can now observe the movements of his opponent's lungs and the condition of their blood vessels. He can also clearly see the muscles, and Tanjiro can aim for Akaza's head if he turns off his fighting spirit. Gyu is still fighting fiercely with Akaza. Gyu is starting to feel exhausted. His slashes can't pierce through Akaza anymore. Gyu feels the difference in strength. Every time Gyu attacks, Akaza notices and counterattacks with extreme speed and accuracy. Akaza can predict Gyu's upcoming attacks. He is truly a demon with an incredible strength, worthy of the title Upper Moon 3, a person who only knows how to destroy and has thrown away everything, with only fighting in his mind. Akaza now boasts, saying, "It seems like you have used all your water techniques, right? That's enough, Gyu. I will send you to heaven now. I'm surprised you are still holding out until now." As he speaks, they both rush at each other. One slashes, one punches. Gyu swings his sword from below. Akaza only uses his bare hand to break the water pillar's sword. Gyu is shocked. Akaza says, "Goodbye," and throws a punch at Gyu's chest with his other hand. Blood comes out. But wait, that hand cannot touch Gyu's body. It has been sliced off when Tanjiro used the dance of the fire god. Gyu also notices the difference in Tanjiro. His breathing, his hair, and his eyes are also very unusual. Every cell in Akaza's body urges him to take Tanjiro's life immediately while he still can. Something in Tanjiro has changed. It makes Akaza feel extremely terrified. Akaza then uses the technique Final Style, Chaotic Flashing Light. A fatal attack, faster and stronger than before, sending out powerful streams of air. All those attacks randomly fly towards one side. The water pillar can't use his blade to block all of them. Although he dodges a lot of fatal attacks, now is the moment for the demon. As usual, Akaza invites the water pillar to become a demon like him. But from behind, Tanjiro comes forward with his sword. Akaza does not notice. Why? Because Tanjiro has turned off his fighting spirit. Tanjiro, as if he is afraid Akaza doesn't know he is about to cut off his head, shouts, "Akaza, I will cut your head off now!" Akaza is startled and immediately punches Tanjiro. He quickly dodges, and Akaza is also very surprised by that. However, he comforts himself, saying, "It's nothing. It's not a problem. I will use Destructive Kill, Compass Needle. The stronger Tanjiro's fighting spirit becomes, the more sensitive my compass will be." But Akaza's eyes widen when he looks at Tanjiro again. There is no fighting spirit coming from him. Tanjiro uses Sun Breathing, Solar Halo Dragon Dance, leaping up and turning with a slash that gently passes through Akaza's neck as if he is slicing a banana. In his whole life, Akaza has never seen a person with no fighting spirit. Even a newborn baby still has a faint fighting will. But Tanjiro can make his fighting will disappear in an instant, as if Akaza is fighting a tree that cannot move. This makes Akaza's compass unable to detect anything. Akaza feels that there is no hatred or fear in Tanjiro's eyes. What those eyes see is the special thing, the supreme territory that Akaza has always longed to reach, the world of nothingness, the path that Akaza has always vaguely felt, but at this moment, with his head severed from his neck, he is still not reconciled. He is trying to put his head back on to regenerate, but Gyu from behind throws his broken sword, sticking it into Akaza's head, which makes his head fall hard to the ground and disintegrate. Tanjiro relaxes his body. His muscles are numb, and his body has reached its limit. However, Akaza's body has not disintegrated yet. He stomps his foot on the ground and uses Destructive Kill, rushing to attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro can't react in time and is kicked away. The severed neck has sealed. Akaza is trying to make his head no longer his weak point. Just like Muzan. This battle is not over yet. Tanjiro intends to continue the fight, but he is suddenly cut off. It is clear that his body has reached its limit, and forcing it is impossible. Giyu also realizes that. He takes his broken sword and uses fourth form, striking Tide, to save Tanjiro. Even when Akaza's body is sliced, he regenerates as fast as a flash. Giyu shouts at Akaza, "I am still alive! If you want to kill Tanjiro, you have to step over my corpse first, you bastard!" That is an indomitable spirit that will not be bent, no matter what stands in its way. Akaza then feels something familiar from his past. Images keep appearing about a man with the spirit of a warrior, who uses his fists but still has a sword in his heart, and a girl who takes Akaza's hand and says, "Stop it, Hakuji." From the crying face and mouth of the girl, Akaza's real name, Hakuji, is uttered. He doesn't recognize her, and she begs him to stop and join her in the afterlife. Akaza refuses, as he craves more power and will destroy anyone who gets in his way. But when the girl asks why he needs to be stronger, he begins to remember his initial motivation, to bring medicine home for his father. As a human, Hakuji was a boy who stole on the streets. If he wasn't strong enough, he couldn't endure the beatings he received when he was caught by the authorities. At just 11 years old, he had 3 tattoos on his arms, a mark of his many crimes. He was able to endure hundreds of lashes, which led the officials to call him a demon. After being beaten and cast out, he received terrible news. His father had hanged himself. His father left a message hoping that Hakuji would live a decent life, and didn't want his son to lose his future because of him. Hakuji hugged his father's simple tombstone, crying with hatred for this unjust and unfair world. In the days that followed, Hakuji became increasingly violent. He couldn't understand why his father had to die while more useless people got to live. He had become so emotionally and physically numb that he no longer felt pain from the authorities' whippings. He bitterly remembered his father's bony back and his worsening illness. The medicine was too expensive, and his every effort ultimately led to his father's despairing death. One day, as Hakuji was single-handedly beating up a group of thugs, a man in a martial arts uniform appeared and praised his bravery. The man introduced himself as Keizo, a martial artist of the Soryu school. He invited Hakuji to his dojo, and after a short fight where Hakuji was easily defeated, he followed him. Keizo had no students and made a living doing odd jobs. The first thing he asked Hakuji to do was to take care of his sick daughter, Koyuki. His wife had recently committed suicide due to their daughter's illness, and Keizo blamed himself. Hakuji found Keizo's kindness and honesty to be just like Tanjiro's, which is why he instinctively disliked the boy. Koyuki had been very weak since birth. Seeing her, Hakuji was reminded of his own pitiful father. Koyuki would always apologize for being a bother, which puzzled Hakuji, who wondered why sick people would apologize. He felt that the most miserable people are those who have no choice. The thing that made Koyuki feel most guilty was that because he was taking care of her, Hakuji couldn't practice martial arts. He told her not to worry, and that he would go see the fireworks with her when she got better. He promised that if they couldn't go this year, they would go next year, and the year after that. Akaza's words made Koyuki cry. Seeing her cry made him feel very uneasy. Over time, Hakuji grew to love his life at the dojo. Keizo had been gifted the dojo and land for saving an old man. Unfortunately, a neighboring dojo wanted the land and harassed Keizo's school, preventing anyone from joining. Hakuji was the Soryu school's only student. Through his training and caring for Koyuki, his heart slowly healed. His fighting ability improved so quickly that he soon caught up to his master. 3 years later, Hakuji was 18 and Koyuki was 16. She was healthy and living a normal life. One day, Keizo told Hakuji that he wanted him to take over the dojo and marry Koyuki. Hakuji was stunned that someone would accept a person like him. He bowed and accepted Keizo's offer, filled with hope that he could live a decent life as his father had wished. He went to his father's grave to tell him about the engagement. However, when he returned, he was horrified to find that Keizo and Koyuki had been poisoned by the envious swordsman from the neighboring dojo. Filled with rage, Hakuji swore that all the good he had done meant nothing. He was furious that he was always absent when the people he cared about were in danger. The memory of his promise to Koyuki filled him with grief. He had promised to become stronger than anyone else to protect her, but now she was gone. He single-handedly stormed the enemy's dojo, brutally killing everyone in sight. He killed 67 people that night, leaving no single body intact. The dojo was covered in corpses and scattered body parts. Hakuji then wandered aimlessly, his body covered in blood. That's when the Demon King Muzan found him. Muzan had come because he thought a demon he hadn't created was responsible for the horrific murders, but it turned out to be a human. Before Hakuji could even attack, Muzan punched straight through his head. Muzan explained that he was creating the 12 strongest demons to serve him, and that if Hakuji survived after receiving his blood, he would be one of them. Nothing mattered to Hakuji anymore. He became a demon and lost all his memories. There was no longer the young man named Hakuji, but only a demon named Akaza, who craved strength and killed many people with his fists. In this new world, he felt his life was both pitiful and pointless. Even if he died, he couldn't meet the 3 people he loved most. He became furious that the people in front of him, Giyu and Tanjiro, dared to make him remember his painful human life. Akaza's head began to regenerate, and the water pillar was determined to destroy him. Tanjiro charged forward but lost his sword, and his shoulder became dislocated. Still, he chose to throw a punch at Akaza's face. That punch briefly reminded Akaza of his master. He suddenly understood why he hated the weak. They didn't fight fairly, and were the ones who poisoned his master and Koyuki. As Akaza was about to unleash his ultimate technique, he saw Tanjiro rush in to save the water pillar. Akaza was so overwhelmed by Tanjiro's selflessness that he suddenly turned and attacked himself. His body was a wreck, but in that moment, Tanjiro briefly smelled gratitude coming from him. Akaza's body began to regenerate, but he was determined to stop it, because he knew he had already lost. He only wanted to go to hell with honor. In his mind, he met his father, who didn't blame him for failing to live a decent life. His master, Keizo, also appeared, still loving him like a son. But Muzan's shadow was still there, urging him to become stronger. The demon and human parts of his mind fought fiercely until Koyuki's image appeared, comforting him that everything was enough. The demon Akaza disappeared, and all that remained was the pitiful young man named Hakuji. He held the girl he had failed, endlessly apologizing. Koyuki calmly held him, happy that he had finally remembered them. After all these years, Hakuji's soul could finally return to the place he called home. Akaza slowly disintegrated before Tanjiro's eyes. Upper Moon 3 was truly gone. Tanjiro let out a sigh of relief. He wanted to quickly find Muzan, but his body couldn't stand up, and he fainted. The water pillar wasn't doing much better. Their injuries were very severe. A messenger crow quickly appeared and flew all over the fortress, announcing the victory of Tanjiro and the water pillar against Upper Moon 3. Meanwhile, Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo, already knew about Akaza's death. He couldn't understand why Akaza gave up on the path to reaching a higher peak, calling him weak. Douma still couldn't believe Akaza was truly dead. He sensed that Upper Moon 3 had transformed into something, but he laughed, certain that no one else would ever know the reason. He returned to the main topic, asking for the name of Kanao, who was fighting him. The other pillars, having also heard about the victory of the water pillar and Tanjiro, were now even more motivated to continue fighting. Zenitsu's situation had taken a turn for the better. Inosuke was chasing the messenger crow, ordering it to lead him to the strongest demon. Genya was still trying to find his brother, while the wind pillar, Sanemi, was destroying one demon after another in a fit of rage. Douma, meanwhile, could no longer sense Akaza. He wondered if Akaza had died, but the feeling was vague, as if he had become someone else entirely. Douma then burst out laughing, saying that since Akaza was dead, he wouldn't know anyway. He turned back to Kanao and asked what they were talking about, and what her name was. Kanao, panting, gritted her teeth, and said her name was Kanao, and that Shinobu was her elder sister. Douma was skeptical, as the two girls didn't seem to have any blood relation. However, he dismissed it, saying it didn't matter because all pretty girls were delicious. He then recalled that Akaza never ate women. Douma laughed and said that even though he had told him many times that women's flesh was more nutritious and that he might even be lucky enough to eat a baby in their womb, which would make him stronger, Akaza never listened. Douma also mentioned that Akaza even refused to kill women and that their master agreed to this. He questioned how someone so favored by Muzan could still be killed. Douma then made a fake sad face and began to cry loudly, claiming that Akaza was his best friend. Kanao, unable to stand it, told him to stop his lies, saying that his act was enough. Douma stopped and asked what she had said. Kanao knew his tricks and couldn't sense any genuine sadness from him. There was no emotion in his expression, only fake tears. Douma disagreed, justifying his behavior by saying it was because he was a demon. Kanao refused to accept this, stating that demons had the same facial structure as humans and were therefore capable of showing emotions. She added that before she died, Shinobu had told her she felt sorry for Douma because he couldn't feel anything. Everyone born in this world feels happiness, fear, anger, or sadness. but he couldn't understand any of it. She continued, saying he was smart and covered his emotional emptiness with lies, pretending to be happy or sad, but it was just to hide that he felt nothing at all. He was like a ridiculous and foolish puppet with a hollow shell. Kanao then laughed and taunted him, wondering why someone like Douma was ever born. Douma, with a blank expression, asked why a girl would bully someone with such terrible words. Kanao stopped laughing and declared that she hated him and only wanted to cut off his head. She laughed in his face, calling him a pile of garbage whose life was utterly worthless. Douma instantly appeared and aimed his fan at Kanao's neck. The moment the fan was about to touch her, Kanao ducked and swiftly countered with a sharp slash to his right side, causing blood to spurt out. Douma then unleashed his blood demon art, Freezing Lotus, but Kanao was quick and nimble, a formidable opponent not to be underestimated. Douma spat blood and realized that she was adjusting and adapting to him during the fight. He noticed she wasn't breathing while he fanned his cold air from the Freezing Lotus toward her. He knew that Shinobu had used hand signals to warn her, but her ability to handle the situation showed she was a worthy opponent. Douma confirmed that this girl was younger and stronger than the one he had just eaten. Although she appeared strong on the outside, Kanao was struggling to grip her sword, trying to stop her body from trembling because the demon in front of her was so much stronger than the other demons she had fought before. What kept her going was the burning anger inside her, which she channeled into strength. Kanao gritted her teeth and lunged forward, unleashing her flower-breathing, fifth form Peonies of Futility. Douma was excited, seeing 8 or 9 consecutive slashes from the girl. "Now it's my turn," he said, using his blood demon art to create waves of ice to surround Kanao. She began to use her second form to counter them. Douma realized Kanao's eyes were special and helped her dodge his attacks, allowing her to even predict his movements. "Damn it, I'll take out her eyes," he thought. But Kanao's reflexes were too fast. She dodged and unleashed another beautiful, picturesque attack aimed straight for his neck. Douma even complimented her, calling her a piece of spring. He quickly dodged and used his blood demon art to create a pile of snow and ice, trapping her sword-wielding hands. Kanao covered her mouth and nose, afraid the ice dust would kill her, and jumped back to create distance. But Douma didn't give up, summoning countless lotuses with thorny ice vines that chased Kanao in the air. She desperately cut the thorny vines, but then fell into a pool of water. Douma seized the opportunity and unleashed his Winter Icicle Goddess attack, summoning 2 gigantic white female statues that spewed freezing air toward Kanao. Everything the freezing air touched instantly froze. Kanao had to jump to another spot, unable to find a way to get close to him. Just then, sharp icicles rained down from above, which she barely managed to dodge. Douma began to mock her, saying she was getting further and further away. He said if she wanted to kill him, she needed to get closer. He then suddenly vanished and reappeared behind Kanao. Her sword suddenly disappeared, and she was stunned. He planted Kanao's sword into the ground and told her to come and get it. He then fanned his fan, creating countless ice petals that covered the entire large room. Kanao's vision was severely limited and obscured. She tried to observe and pinpoint the location of her sword, but suddenly, the walls of the room cracked open. Inosuke burst in, yelling, "Inosuke-sama has come down from heaven to save you!" The appearance of the boar-headed boy surprised both Douma and Kanao. Inosuke immediately used beast breathing, fifth form, crazy cutting, which instantly freed Kanao from the deadly snowstorm. Inosuke kept talking, saying that he couldn't believe the crow finally led him to the right place, right to the center of the fight. Inosuke looked at Douma through the holes of his mask and shouted, "Haha, so you're Upper Moon too! Your identity is revealed. I'll kill you and become a pillar!" Douma was confused. He hadn't been hiding his identity. He thought the boy was interesting. Inosuke was busy trying to figure out what he would be called after becoming a pillar, the boar pillar, the beast pillar. He then noticed Kanao beside him, covered in wounds. Inosuke screamed, afraid that Shinobu would be angry when she found out. Kanao said nothing, only stared at him. "What? Is she dead?" Inosuke asked. Douma interrupted, saying that she wasn't dead and would live forever inside of him. He claimed they had been saved by him and would live happily inside him. Hearing this, Inosuke remembered a moment with Shinobu where they made a pinky promise. Inosuke became furious and charged at Douma, yelling, "I'll tear you to pieces, you bastard!" Kanao shouted for him not to breathe in the cold air that Douma was fanning out. Inosuke used beast breathing, fourth fang, shredding, unleashing 6 slashes at the same time, attacking from both sides. Douma dismissed the move as amateurish, saying his sword was chipped and his attacks were weird. He aimed his fan at Inosuke's boarhead, but Inosuke was incredibly fast, using his foot to push the fan away and creating a beautiful posture. Douma complimented his agility, saying, "I like you already." Before he could finish, he saw the boar boy dash toward Kanao, planting her sword back into her hand. Douma was surprised, exclaiming, "Damn, that was fast!" This time, a thrilled Douma rushed forward to attack. He praised the boar boy for being so fast and swung his fan, creating freezing lotus flowers and countless ice dust particles. Inosuke dodged, twisted, and kicked Douma in the stomach. Douma's fan instantly came down to slash him, but the boar boy managed to pull his leg back in time, creating a safe distance between them. Douma once again complimented him, saying he was wonderful, but he couldn't understand why the boar boy was still swinging his sword. How the hell is he slashing? Douma wondered. Inosuke slashed at him, but it seemed to miss, yet Douma's face was suddenly slashed. Damn it, how can he slash me? Douma was shocked. It turned out to be the 9th fang of beast breathing, which dislocated the body to make the arms longer. Kanao watched in shock, feeling the pain for him, but in a second, he was back to normal. She was amazed that he could do something so difficult. Douma laughed loudly at this bizarre display, thinking the boy was messing everything up. "I've lived for a very long time, but I've never seen a kid like you," he said. Inosuke let out a long sigh and declared, "Because I am Inosuke-sama, everyone must bow down before me. Nothing can compare to me." As he was talking excitedly, his mask disappeared. Inosuke instinctively flinched. Kanao screamed. Damn it, he was too fast. Douma held the mask and examined it. "Did you patch up a boar's eyes on this?" he asked. A furious Inosuke demanded he return it. Douma smiled again, remembering Inosuke's face. It was the face of someone he had met before. "Have we met before, Inosuke?" he asked. Inosuke angrily shouted that he didn't remember meeting him and told him not to touch his mask with his dirty hands. But Douma insisted that he knew Inosuke. Inosuke insisted he didn't know him. The only person he felt a familiar feeling with was Shinobu, and he had planned to ask her about it someday. Kanao reassured him that the demon was just talking nonsense. Douma said that a good memory was his strength, and that he was serious. He even poked his finger into his own brain, an action that terrified the two of them. It turned out he was delving into his memories. 15 years ago, a beautiful 18-year-old girl came to his Eternal Paradise cult with a newborn baby. She had been abused by her husband and mother-in-law, so his cult took her in. The girl had no parents or relatives. Her face was swollen, her body was dry, and her eyes were gradually losing their sight from the prolonged abuse. After some time, she recovered and regained her beautiful appearance. "She looks a lot like you. Is that your mother, Inosuke?" he asked. Inosuke said he had no mother and was raised by a wild boar, so the person in the memory was not related to him. Douma felt the boy was foolish. How could a wild boar give birth to a human? Inosuke couldn't take it anymore and charged at him. Kanao also lunged forward. Douma told him to at least listen to the end of the story. He then slashed Inosuke with his fans even faster, leaving 2 cuts on his chest. As he prepared to unleash another ice attack, Kanao moved quickly and pushed Inosuke aside. Douma laughed and said he didn't want to eat her because it was nice to have a beautiful person around. "But your mother wasn't very smart," he continued. "Even though she was blessed with beauty and a wonderful voice, she always sang a lullaby to you, didn't she?" The song, Pinky Promise, suddenly triggered a memory in Inosuke's mind, a song his mother had sung. "I will protect you until you grow up. I will protect you with my own life," she had sung. His mother's face became clearer and clearer. It was a beautiful, gentle, and peaceful face. Douma said the lyrics of the song were always different, probably a children's rhyme. Inosuke realized that this was why Shinobu felt familiar after their pinky promise. Douma had planned to keep Inosuke's mother until she died of old age, but she had seen him eating other believers. She cursed Douma and ran away with her son into the night. While running, she apologized to her son for getting lost once again. They had reached the edge of a cliff, and she cried and apologized to Inosuke before dropping him down into the water below. On the cliff, she was killed by Douma. Douma thought Inosuke had died as well. Inosuke remembered everything from that day. His mother had been killed by this demon. Inosuke was overwhelmed with disappointment. Douma had ended up eating the girl, down to the bone. He claimed it was his way of saving her, so she wouldn't be beaten by her husband anymore or have to starve with her son. Douma laughed sarcastically, wondering if she had ever felt happy in her life. Kanao shouted at him to shut up, calling him a bastard. Inosuke gripped his sword tighter, remembering his mother's words. She had called him her treasure and said her happiness was being with him. Inosuke growled, "It's a miracle I met you here, you demon who killed my mother and my friends. Thank you for making me remember everything, but cutting off your head isn't enough. I'll show you what hell is." Inosuke's eyes bulged, his veins popped, and he swung his two swords. Douma was still trying to explain to the two that hell wasn't real. "Look, evil people live happy lives, while kind people suffer," he said. "Heaven is just an imagination for the weak. Those people are a bunch of pitiful fools." Inosuke yelled, "If there's no hell, I'll create one for you! Shut your mouth!" He demanded that Douma stop talking about his mother as if she was unfortunate, and then he dashed forward. The demon spat out a pile of ice. Inosuke activated his 10th fang, using his two swords like fans to blow the ice away. Douma found it amusing. At that moment, Kanao launched a surprise attack from behind. He detected her flower breathing but was too slow to react. The demon quickly used his fan to blow her away. Kanao fell into the water below. Douma then vanished. Kanao emerged from the water. Inosuke shouted, "Are you scared? Come down here!" It turned out Douma had stuck himself to the ceiling. He couldn't stay here any longer because Akaza was dead. He created an ice doll in his likeness. Inosuke laughed, thinking Douma was out of tricks if he had to resort to a doll. To his surprise, the doll immediately unleashed Douma's ultimate move, scattering lotuses, filling the air with ice petals. Inosuke had to use all his strength to defend himself. Kanao realized the doll was very strong. Douma said the doll was as strong as he was and then prepared to leave. Inosuke turned around and shouted at him. The doll almost killed him. Inosuke charged again, trying to block the demon's path. Douma was still wondering why the boy hadn't inhaled his blood demon art. The ice doll unleashed its blood demon art again, with two ice maidens spewing ice dust that quickly pursued Inosuke. Douma realized that Inosuke's heightened senses were the key to his strong defense. It's good that all of their strengths have been revealed, he thought. Believing this information would help him defeat them. The ice doll then changed its target, attacking Kanao with freezing lotuses. At this moment, Douma was almost at the door, about to escape. He had an idea to create 5 more dolls to clear out all the demon slayers in the fortress. He fanned his fan, and a second doll appeared. The first doll was still relentlessly attacking Kanao, giving her no time to act. Inosuke was frustrated that they were being overwhelmed by just one doll. He was itching for revenge, but had to keep dodging. Kanao told him to calm down, saying it would only be a little while longer. Douma didn't understand what she meant. He opened the door and prepared to leave, knowing that his clones had memory and could report the battle to him later. As he opened the door, his vision blurred, his eyes fell out, and his body began to decay. Only Kanao understood what was happening. Douma couldn't believe his body was melting. He then remembered Shinobu's face. It turned out that on that day, Shinobu had discussed a plan with Kanao. She would sacrifice herself to be eaten by the demon. Kanao was shocked, asking why she would do that when the two of them could kill him together. Shinobu told her to abandon that naive idea, as an upper moon was as strong as 3 pillar. Shinobu had done her research and knew the demon had a fixation on eating women, especially a female pillar, so he would definitely eat her to absorb her powerful physical strength. Therefore, Shinobu had turned her body into a vessel of poison. The poison was made from wisteria flowers, and she had spent a year infusing every cell of her body with it. Kanao offered to do the same, but Shinobu refused, saying only one person was needed, as she didn't know if it would work on an upper moon or Muzan. A single sword could only inject 50 milligrams of poison, but if he ate her, he would be subjected to 37 kilograms of poison, more than 700,000 times the amount. The demon, overwhelmed by the poison, fell to the ground. His flesh was melting. He still couldn't believe that a girl had killed him. He didn't feel anything, not even at the moment of his death. His dolls stopped moving and shattered into ice shards. Inosuke was confused, thinking it was a trap. "No! It's Shinobu's poison!" Kanao shouted, telling Inosuke to hurry and cut off his head. Shinobu had warned her in advance, saying that Mr. Ubuyashiki believed poison alone couldn't kill an upper moon, so they needed to behead him to increase their chances of success. Kanao was determined not to let Shinobu's death be in vain. The demon was right in front of them. "Die, you bastard demon!" they shouted. But Douma swung his fan and a giant ice statue, Ruyi Bodhisattva, appeared. The demon was using a spear-themed skill set. The statue began to attack the two of them, and the ground was pulverized. Kanao couldn't believe the demon was still so strong. She calmed herself, knowing she couldn't be careless at this moment. She noticed his attacks were crude and lacked precision, likely a sign that he was dying. Kanao remembered Shinobu's warning that if she continued to abuse her eyes, she would go blind forever. She's too kind, always thinking of others, Kanao thought. But she couldn't listen to her sister now. She unleashed her final move, Equinoctial Vermilion Eye. On the other side, Inosuke was captured by the statue in a very dangerous situation. Kanao pushed her vision to the limit, causing everything to slow down. Blood rushed to her eyes, and they turned red, with blood even starting to stream down her face. She easily dodged the statue's ice punch and lunged at the demon with her sword. The statue then blew cold air, freezing a part of Kanao's body. The demon wanted to block her attack. Kanao gritted her teeth, determined to cut off his rotten neck. The ice was spreading more and more on her body, and her hand was frozen. Just then, Inosuke swung his two swords and threw them. The two swords spun like saw blades toward the demon. They aimed at Kanao's sword, and with the added force, her sword successfully cut off the demon's head. Douma's head couldn't believe he had lost. He lost to a small girl who couldn't even cut off his head, and another who wasn't even a proper swordsman. It was a pathetic defeat. He didn't want to give up. He wanted to be immortal like Muzan. He also knew that Akaza had likely achieved it. His head fell to the ground, and he saw his body decaying. "Am I dying?" he wondered. But even then, he didn't feel anything. No fear, no frustration from losing. He was emotionless toward everything. He then remembered his family. His father was a womanizer who slept with every woman in the cult. His mother had stabbed his father to death and then poisoned herself. He wasn't a demon then, and he only wished his mother would clean up the room because the smell of blood was unpleasant. He felt no sadness or loneliness. At the age of 20, he met Muzan and became a demon. He still couldn't feel human emotions. Suddenly, Shinobu appeared and lifted his head. "Now I can rest in peace," she said. He couldn't tell if it was Shinobu or Kanao. Shinobu smiled brightly and said not to say their names with his filthy mouth. Douma was impressed with her final poison attack. He hadn't realized it was Shinobu's poison. Shinobu revealed that a demon named Tamayo had helped her make the poison, but she still considered it a failure because it should have made him suffer in agony. But she was satisfied with the outcome. "Your leader will be taken care of by my comrades soon," she said. The demon was suddenly startled. "What's this? I can feel my heart pounding, even though I don't have one," he thought. "Is this love? You're so cute," he said. Shinobu didn't respond. The demon then asked if she wanted to go to hell with him. Shinobu smiled brightly and said, "Go fuck yourself in hell, shithead!" Inosuke celebrated his successful kill and then collapsed, exhausted. He remembered telling Tanjiro that he had no mother. Zenitsu had assumed he was abandoned, and that was why his name was written on his loincloth. But Tanjiro had told him that everyone has a mother and that he was sure his mother loved him very much. Inosuke remembered his mother's embrace and began to cry, calling for her. Meanwhile, Kanao was frantically looking for Shinobu's hairpin. Her left eye was blind, but she knew she could manage with her right. She apologized to her sister, Kanae, for not being able to shed a single tear when she died. Everyone else had cried, but she couldn't, and it made her sad. Instead, she had just sweated profusely. But Shinobu had never blamed her for it. Kanao always felt guilty because in her past, she was beaten severely every time she cried. Her elder brothers were beaten in a sensitive area and died because of it, so she couldn't cry anymore. Kanao's sweat was pouring down her body. "Did I do well, sister? I respected my comrades, as you told me, and they helped me," she thought. "I couldn't do it alone, and they came to help me. Kanao held the hairpin tightly in her hand and almost collapsed from exhaustion, but she held on. At that moment, 2 hands were placed on her head. Kanao. The voices of her 2 sisters echoed in her mind. Kanao held the 2 hairpins tightly in her hand. Kane and Shinobu were now back in their own land. The 2 sisters, dressed in kimonos, were admiring cherry blossoms. Their parents waved at them, and they all hugged each other happily. At this moment, Kanao could finally cry, and many tears streamed down her face. In his daze, Tanjiro seemed to smell something burning. He woke up with a start. Is there a fire? He wondered, but he only saw Giyu, who had already woken up and was grilling his sword. It turned out Giyu was using fire to cauterize his and Tanjiro's wounds, and told him that the fight had just begun. We have to defeat Muzan, he said. We might even have to face Upper Moon 1 and 2. As Tanjiro agreed, a crow reported that Shinobu, Kanao, and Inosuke had defeated Upper Moon 2. Knowing that Inosuke and Kanao were safe, Tanjiro sighed in relief. It's almost time to kill Muzan, he thought. I won't let Shinobu's sacrifice be in vain. At the same time, deep in the Infinity Castle, Mitsuri and Obanai were fighting Upper Moon 4, Nakime. She controlled the entire castle. And even though she wasn't strong, her ability to change the terrain held the 2 pillar back. Elsewhere, Gyomei and Muichiro were moving closer to Muzan, following the crow's guidance. They were getting closer, but suddenly the terrain changed. A wall popped out and pushed Muichiro, who hit the wall on the opposite side. He shouted for Gyomei not to worry and to keep going. With a loud explosion, Muichiro broke through the floor and fell to another area just before the wall closed. Before he could see his surroundings clearly, he met his enemy. So you've come, Demon Slayer, the enemy said. You have a familiar scent. Muichiro broke out in a cold sweat because he recognized the demon's eyes. The person in front of him was the cruelest of the 12 Kizuki, Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. His aura was completely different from the other Upper Moons. His strength was profound. Just standing there, he was like a majestic and unshakable mountain. He was also holding a sword. Could he have been a demon slayer once? Muichiro wondered. At that moment, Kokushibo was also observing the boy. Just as I thought, he muttered. The overwhelming aura made Muichiro's body tremble involuntarily. It was a physical reaction when facing him. What's your name? Kokushibo asked. Tokito Muichiro. So that's it. The name of the Tsugikuni family has been forgotten, Kokushibo said. Tsugikuni? Who is that? Muichiro thought. That's the name I used when I was human. I'm Michikatsu Tsugikuni, and you are a descendant of our family. That makes me your ancestor, Kokushibo said. Muichiro was stunned. He couldn't believe he was a descendant of Upper Moon 1. How can this be? He thought. Calm down. Don't panic. Right after, he regained his composure. You regained your composure after a brief panic. You have a strong spirit, Kokushibo said. As soon as he finished, Muichiro lunged forward, using mist breathing's second form. Your combat skills aren't bad. Mist breathing isn't bad either, Kokushibo said. With his fifth form, Muichiro attacked him again with a thick layer of fog, but Kokushibo was unharmed. Muichiro, at such a young age, you've already mastered such combat skills. You are truly worthy of being my descendant, Kokushibo said. Even though your bloodline is diluted, my cells still exist in your body. Are you insulting me? Muichiro's face was now covered in black marks like mist. Even if I'm your descendant, after hundreds of years, there's no way your blood or cells are still in me, Muichiro said. So, it has appeared, Kokushibo thought. Muichiro then used his seventh form, the one that defeated Upper Moon 5. He disappeared into the mist. Kokushibo once again praised him. This is a form that no mist user has ever used before, he said. Muichiro's sword silently appeared in front of him, about to cut off his head. But in a flash, Kokushibo's figure vanished and reappeared on the other side. He realized that this fluid and unique move was created by the boy himself. It would be rude not to respond with my own combat skill, he said. Moon breathing, first form. In one move, he severed Muichiro's left arm. At that moment, Muichiro realized he was using moon breathing. His attack speed was on another level. There was no time to think. He bit down on his sleeve to slow the bleeding, determined to attack again. He used a new mist-breathing form, but as soon as he swung his sword, Kokushibo redirected it with his bare hand and impaled Muichiro in the chest, pinning him to a pillar. "My descendant, become a demon and serve my master," Kokushibo said. He kept trying to persuade him, even offering to stop the bleeding. "If you bleed to death, your life will end here," he said. While the two were talking, Genya, who had been hiding on the side, watched. He fired his gun, trying to save Muichiro. "I'm sure you think so too, right?" he thought. In a flash, Kokushibo appeared behind him. With one strike, he broke Genya's left arm. This sight worried Muichiro, but he couldn't pull his sword out in time. At that moment, Kokushibo attacked again and broke Genya's other arm. Genya fell to his knees, but Kokushibo didn't stop. He sliced Genya in half with another strike. Seeing that Genya was still alive, Kokushibo realized he was a demon eater. "I will not forgive this fake demon," he said, and raised his sword to behead him. But at that moment, Sanemi appeared, using his wind-breathing, fourth form, and blocked the fatal strike for Genya. "So you're the wind pillar," Kokushibo said. "Yes, this old man is the furious wind that will wring your neck," Sanemi replied. Genya was speechless when he saw his brother. Sanemi spoke first. "Sai, I'm at my wit's end with this brother of mine. Do you understand why I had to kill our mother to protect you? Why I have to protect you so much?" Hearing these words, Genya was shocked. He remembered Tanjiro telling him that after he and his brother argued, Sanemi wasn't filled with hatred. He was actually furious that Genya had joined the Demon Slayer Corps, but he didn't have a scent of hatred. So, he didn't need to be afraid of him. "Genya, you foolish boy. You should have lived a peaceful life," Sanemi said. "After our mother and siblings passed away, you should have lived a good life for their sake. And I, your brother, would never let a demon touch you." Genya began to cry, realizing his brother had been protecting him all along. At that moment, Kokushibo felt a strange familiarity. He mumbled, "Two brothers who are demon slayers. That's very nostalgic." As soon as he finished, Sanemi angrily shouted, "You bastard! How dare you hurt my brother! Now die!" He then drew his sword and charged. Kokushibo also met him with his sword. Sanemi unexpectedly ducked under his attack and slashed at his lower body. But Kokushibo didn't stay put. He jumped into the air. His first form created a swirling whirlwind. After the dust cleared, the two were locked in a sword fight. Sanemi realized his sword was terrifying. The blade was covered in eyes. Moon-breathing, fifth form. A multi-layered attack with crescent moon blades knocked Sanemi back. As soon as he landed, Kokushibo attacked again. Sanemi used wind-breathing, third form, and the two clashed again. "Not bad. Your physique and combat skills are at their peak," Kokushibo praised him silently. Sanemi was even more shocked. Every one of his attacks came with razor-sharp crescent blades. They were random and unpredictable, which explained why Muichiro was so badly injured. His speed was also terrifying. What was even worse was that he was using breathing techniques to increase his speed and strength. Sanemi laughed. "This is interesting. You're a demon worthy of being killed." Wind-breathing second form. This attack created 4 claw-like wind blades that shot toward Kokushibo. He blocked it, but realized the wind blades almost cut his sword in half. He quickly swung his sword to cancel the attack, but instantly, Sanemi was above him. He slashed down. As the two were locked in a struggle, another blade quietly stabbed up from below, aiming for his head. Kokushibo managed to tilt his head back in time. It turned out to be Genya's sword, which Sanemi had thrown using his foot. Kokushibo took a step back. The two then charged at each other again. The scene was filled with crescent moons and wind blades. The two were getting faster and faster. Kokushibo was impressed that the wind pillar could keep up with his combat skills. But in reality, Sanemi was close to his limit. These intense attacks meant he couldn't even blink. One mistake, and he would die. Muichiro and Genya were also worried, but they were too injured to fight. They could only watch Sanemi fight alone. But at that moment, moon-breathing, sixth form, Sanemi couldn't block the attack completely, and his body was shredded. Kokushibo warned him not to move, or his internal organs would spill out. But a moment later, he felt Sanemi's heart rate increase. Sanemi laughed, thinking that one should use a demon's blood to fight a demon. He charged and slashed at Kokushibo. Kokushibo was now staggering. Sanemi had guessed right. His rare blood also worked on upper moons. After his mother became a demon, he realized the special nature of his blood. When he was injured, his mother's movements slowed down, and that was how he managed to kill her. After that, his world fell apart. He began hunting demons with a variety of weapons, unaware of the Demon Slayer core. He survived because of his special blood, which mesmerized demons. He later met a demon slayer who was hunting a demon, and with his guidance, he became a proper demon slayer. But later, in a fight with Lower Moon 1, Kuujima, he died, and Sanemi became a pillar. Despite his serious injuries, Sanemi's movements didn't slow down. Anyone else would have lost the will to fight long ago, but he was still trying to stop his bleeding. His indomitable spirit impressed Kokushibo. It combined with the pleasant feeling from his rare blood and gave him a long-lost sense of satisfaction. Kokushibo stepped on his powerful Nichirin blade. At that moment, another slash was about to finish him off. They're fighting a life-or-death battle, yet he's smiling. How annoying, a voice said. We're in the main hall giving orders, yet you're talking Ubuyashiki-sama. Your life must be very comfortable. Sanemi had said this in his first meeting as a pillar. The other pillar were angry at his words, but the master simply smiled and listened to his rude words. In his eyes, then, all the demon slayers were just pawns of Ubuyashiki. But the master only said one thing. I apologize. The master continued, saying he had also tried to be a swordsman like them, but his body was too weak. He said if the members were pawns, he was a pawn as well. Even if I die, it won't affect the organization. A replacement has been ready for a long time, he said. The look in the master's eyes reminded him of his mother. He then handed him a letter, saying it was from Kuujima. He then realized that even though he didn't remember the names of the comrades who died fighting with him, the master remembered all of them. In the letter, Kuujima said he had long considered him a younger brother. He hoped that one day, those he cherished would live happy lives, free from the threat of demons. Even if I'm not with them, I hope they live good lives, he thought. A gunshot blocked the sword strike. He had brought Genya's gun with him, but the attack was still blocked by Kokushibo. He immediately used his moon-breathing, third form. This powerful attack lunged forward, but there was no one in front of him. Before all the demons in this world are killed, our Demon Slayer Corps will exist forever, a voice said. In the nick of time, Gyomei had saved Sanemi. He told him to take care of his wounds, and that he would hold Kokushibo back. Gyomei's weapon wasn't a sword, but a large axe and a flail connected by a chain. They were made from sun steel. Kokushibo saw that the man in front of him had a perfect body, trained to its limit. He hadn't seen anyone like this in 300 years. Gyomei stood his ground and began to swing his large axe. It was getting faster and faster, swirling dust around it. Kokushibo realized even the air was being swept up. This battle will be fierce, he thought. The large axe slammed down at Kokushibo, cracking the floor. He took a step back to avoid it and immediately countered with his moon-breathing. But at that moment, an axe blade from behind slashed toward him, interrupting his attack. He was forced to dodge. What was surprising was that Gyomei had intentionally dropped his weapon. As soon as Kokushibo was about to use his breathing technique, Gyomei stepped on the chain between the weapons. The large axe blade flew up at Kokushibo's head and slammed down. Kokushibo dodged, but the chain wrapped around his neck. Gyomei pulled the chain from a distance, trying to strangle him. Kokushibo quickly raised his sword to cut the chain, but realized it was indestructible. His sword, forged from his own flesh and blood, couldn't break it. Without hesitation, he ducked down and slipped out of the chain. After this exchange, he knew he couldn't fight this man at a distance. He needed to get close and fight hand to hand. Kokushibo quickly dodged Gyomei's attack and closed the distance. He slashed at Gyomei's head. The attack hit, but Gyomei had already vanished. Gyomei appeared from above, and the axe in his hand created a swinging arc that almost cut Kokushibo's head. Gyomei immediately swung his chain, and the axe on the other end flew up at him. Kokushibo then realized the man in front of him not only mastered this strange weapon, but could also move so lightly despite his large body. He was shocked. As he dodged the axe and prepared to counter, the chain wrapped around his sword. He had to use his breathing technique, but the chain tore his sword in half. The attacks from both of them continued. After the clash, both of them stopped. Kokushibo's broken sword healed itself. "Pitiful human, your attacks are meaningless," Kokushibo said. At that moment, a terrifying wound appeared on Gyomei's face. He had missed one thing. The sword, forged from Kokushibo's flesh and blood, had the same regenerative abilities as him. "I was saving this for the fight with Muzan. But if I lose to you, how can I face him?" Gyomei thought. As soon as he finished, his aura flared up. Rock-like patterns appeared on his arm. The fight was getting even more intense. In the distance, Muichiro was still pinned to the pillar. He was struggling to pull his sword out, which was even more painful than pulling it out of his own chest. He endured the pain and pulled the sword out. The pain made him collapse, but he got back up. He knew with this wound, he couldn't last long, but even if he died, he had to defeat Upper Moon 1. After bandaging his wound, he prepared to help, but Genya, who was sliced in half, called him back. Genya wanted Muichiro to help him put his body back together. Muichiro was surprised that he was still alive, but didn't ask questions. Genya then told him to eat Kokushibo's hair and that he had to protect his brother and fight to the end. "Yes, I understand," Muichiro said. "We'll fight to the last moment together." On the other side, the two didn't immediately start fighting. "So that's it. You're also a swordsman with a demon slayer mark?" Kokushibo said. "How unfortunate." "Unfortunate? Why?" Gyomei asked. "You look to be about 27, am I right?" Kokushibo said. "So what?" Gyomei replied. "It's a shame that a swordsman who has mastered his skills to this extent has to die before the age of 25, Kokushibo said. "Don't you feel that's a shame?" "No, I don't think so," Gyomei said. "We've all known this would happen." "Even without the mark, a demon slayer has no reason to be afraid of death," Gyomei said. "Are you insulting the pillar?" Kokushibo was furious. He once again tried to persuade them. "Just become a demon, and you can live forever. Why don't you understand this?" "Because we don't need to understand your lies," Gyomei said. "To live and die as a human, that's our pride. Don't force your meaningless views on others." Kokushibo was speechless. "After our conversation, I realize your words are a lie. An exception exists. There is a swordsman who awakened his mark and lived past 25. I'm not wrong, am I? You're clearly agitated, so I must be right." The life or death battle began, and Gyomei's words had hit a weak spot for Kokushibo. He was getting faster and faster. Meanwhile, outside the battle, Sanemi was stitching his gruesome wound in his stomach. He pulled his injured body back up. At this moment, the mark of a windmill appeared on his face. In the fierce battle, Kokushibo noticed Sanemi had rejoined the fight. The marks on his face shocked him. Could this generation of pillar all be swordsmen with marks? He wondered. At that moment, Sanemi suddenly ducked down. A weapon flew from behind him and hit Kokushibo, who barely managed to dodge it. But the attack wasn't over. An attack from below by Sanemi forced him to retreat. The combo surprised him. These two swordsmen, using different breathing techniques, can coordinate so well? He thought. But the two knew that they could only coordinate so seamlessly because they had gone through the pillar training. The battle continued, with Kokushibo fighting two people at once. He was at a slight disadvantage. He knew that the people in front of him were the strongest of all the pillar. This man had an incredibly strong body, and since he was blind, he wisely chose a weapon that could locate his enemy through the sound of the chain. "If that's the case, I'll destroy your weapons first," he thought. An attack from below at Sanemi's sword. Kokushibo wanted to break his sword, but Sanemi reacted in a flash. He held his sword vertically and managed to suppress Kokushibo instead. The awakening of his mark made his reaction time much faster. Seizing the opportunity, Gyomei attacked at the same time. Kokushibo managed to dodge the fatal blow but couldn't avoid the damage. As soon as he found his footing, Gyomei was in front of him. His axe slashed down at his head. Even with his near-invincible reflexes, he couldn't completely dodge at such close range. The attack severed one of Kokushibo's ears. Sanemi on the other side wasn't standing still either. Kokushibo immediately retreated, but the two of them wouldn't give him a chance to breathe. Wind breathing, 7th form, gale wind, sudden gusts. Rock breathing, 1st form, serpentinite bipolar. The two of them unleashed their skills at the same time. A swirling wind blade with rock particles flew at Kokushibo's face. The explosive power shredded his clothes but didn't cause any real damage. I can't give him any time to breathe, they thought. The two of them charged again. Yes, you're right, Kokushibo said. In a flash, both of them were bleeding heavily. Gyomei couldn't believe it. How could he hit us from this distance? He wondered. When the dust settled, he saw that Kokushibo's sword had changed its shape. An attack that can only shred clothes, not kill a child. If I kill you here, the other swordsman will be easy to deal with, he thought. After taking the blow, Sanemi realized his finger was severed. He knew that if Gyomei hadn't used his chain to block the invisible attack, both of his hands would have been cut off. The more wounds he had, the slower his movements became. If this continues, Gyomei will be affected as well, he thought. And this monster seems to be immune to my rare blood now. How can I defeat him with this terrifying speed and his bizarre sword? A crow flew by, transmitting a message. Through the marks on his hand, Kiriya was watching the whole battle. Seeing the dire situation, his little sister suggested that Giyu and Tanjiro were still able to fight. But Kiriya immediately cut her off and ordered Giyu and Tanjiro to continue heading to Muzan's hiding place. As for Upper Moon 1, he trusted in the strength of Gyomei, Sanemi, Muichiro, and Genya to defeat him. Back in the battle, Kokushibo raised his strange sword and took a deep breath. Moon breathing, 7th form. The two immediately got into a fighting stance. The 7th form, Mirror of Misfortune, a moonlit crescent, unleashed 5 giant crescent attacks. As they were shocked by the range and speed of the attacks, Kokushibo's next move came. Moon breathing, 8th form, Lunar Phase Swirl, a wide-range attack that came with countless crescent blades. Even though they dodged the fatal attacks, they still couldn't avoid the small crescent blades. Kokushibo's attacks were relentless, and just dodging was difficult. If this continues, forget about cutting off his head. We can't even get close to him, they thought. Moon breathing, 9th form, Waning Moons, a wide-range, invisible attack that created countless crisscrossing crescent blades. Sanemi, with his movements getting slower, couldn't dodge. As Kokushibo prepared to unleash his next attack, Gyomei knew he couldn't save him in time. Sanemi also shouted for him not to worry. At that moment, countless crescent blades descended on Sanemi. But a figure flew by and saved him. It was Muichiro. I won't let you die, he said. You can still fight? Sanemi asked. Not far away, Genya was watching the battle between everyone and Kokushibo. Once again, facing this terrifying enemy, he was worried if he could be of any use. What if I get sliced in half again? He wondered. But at that moment, he saw his brother, badly injured, still fighting. He couldn't let his brother die. He thought about Gyomei and Muichiro. He gritted his teeth, blaming himself for his weakness. Every time he wanted to help, his body wouldn't obey. He was truly helpless. At that moment, he remembered what Tanjiro had told him. In reality, the weakest person has the greatest potential, Tanjiro had said. Just like when I fought Upper Moon 6. Because of my weakness, I was able to seize an opportunity and turn the tide. The enemy is only on guard against a main target, and the weaklings in their eyes are not a threat, he said. So, the weak can often unexpectedly change the tide. Every word Tanjiro said was deeply etched into his mind. He was telling him not to hesitate and to stand up. He took out a cloth-wrapped object from his pocket. It was Kokushibo's broken sword. He decided to eat it. What will Genya's desire bring him? He wondered. Moon-breathing 10th form drilling slashes waning moon. 6 giant crescent blades rained down from the sky, completely blocking Gyomei's path. Even though he dodged the fatal blow, Gyomei was still injured by the smaller blades. This monster's every move is completely different. There's no way to predict his next move. His speed is also too fast to initiate an attack, he thought. And Gyomei could feel that every time he tried to counter, Kokushibo could read his movements perfectly. It's strange. Could he be using some kind of godly power? Gyomei wondered. His strange eyes, can they see something? Gyomei knew what he had to do. He had to use all his strength to uncover the truth behind this abnormality. Demons are just humans who became demons. What a demon can do, a human can also do, he thought. Just like breathing techniques, which allow humans to have the same strength as demons. And my blind eyes can see the essence of things, and will never be fooled by appearances, he thought. I will use all my strength to feel. At that moment, Gyomei felt a strange feeling. Kokushibo's figure became clearer, so clear that he could see his muscle structure. What is this? I can feel his heartbeat, he thought. A clear image appeared in his mind. A crescent blade slashed through his thoughts. On the other side, Muichiro was also gritting his teeth. If I can block his movements for just a moment, Gyomei and Sanemi can definitely cut off his head, he thought. With only his right arm and losing a lot of blood, he had to act quickly while he could still be useful. With his mind made up, Muichiro charged forward, exploding with speed. Gyomei and Sanemi immediately understood and followed, even surpassing Muichiro. Muichiro also knew that the two of them had understood his plan and were coordinating with him. At that moment, Kokushibo also understood. It seems there's no other way than for all three of them to attack me at once, he thought. But I can also take this opportunity to kill all of them at once. Moon breathing, 14th form, calamity, 10-man, waning moons. Giant crescent blades filled the entire battlefield. Charge! We have to charge! There's no way back! Sanemi thought. He dodged and weaved through the countless crisscrossing blades. At that moment, Gyomei escaped from the crescent blades and threw something at Kokushibo. It was the beads from his necklace. Kokushibo was confused. How did he get out of my sight? He wondered. A swirling whirlwind of an attack descended on him. In a flash, Gyomei's steel ball broke all of Kokushibo's arms. This man again, he thought. Now I understand. This man has entered that realm. At that moment, Muichiro appeared in front of him. He plunged his sword into Kokushibo's stomach. At the same time, Muichiro's left leg was severed by Kokushibo's counterattack. At this moment, Kokushibo realized that even with his serious injuries, the boy still managed to dodge his attack and seize the moment of distraction from the beads to stab him. Can his eyes also see that transparent world? He wondered. And this man also. In the battle, he gradually sensed that world and used breathing techniques to change his blood flow, fooling my eyes, he thought. This series of unexpected events truly shocks me. But your weapons can't hurt my neck. It's all meaningless, Kokushibo said. Moon breathing, 16th form. I won't let go. Even if I'm torn to shreds, I will not let go. Genya, don't worry about me. Just shoot, Gyomei said. Seeing Genya not far away, and his gun covered in eyes just like Kokushibo's, Gyomei knew he had changed completely. The situation was exactly as Muichiro had predicted and told him. Once you can't control Kokushibo, don't worry about me. Do not hesitate. I understand everything, Gyomei thought. Kokushibo immediately reacted and raised his sword to block, but couldn't block the bullets. He was shocked to see the bullets dodge his sword and enter his body like living things. This guy has completely changed. He looks even more like a demon now. Could it be? He wondered. Indeed, the bullets inside his body grew into trees that rooted him to the ground, immobilizing him. So this is a blood demon art, he thought. He had no more time to think. Gyomei and Sanemi had been waiting for this moment. This is the best chance to cut off his head. At that moment, Kokushibo felt fear for the first time in 400 years. The calmness he had for 400 years was shattering, and he felt a disgusting but familiar feeling. 400 years ago, on a moonlit night, his younger, frail brother appeared before him. Tsugikuni Yoriichi, my younger twin brother who had everything since birth, he thought. This was the first time in 60 years of being a demon that he had seen his brother again. This can't be. All swordsmen with marks die before the age of 25. How is he still alive? He thought. How pitiful, big brother, his brother said. At that moment, he couldn't believe he was being pitied by his own frail younger brother. But this time, he wasn't angry. The sadness he had never shown before, he's showing it now. How unexpected, he thought. This unexpected emotion confused him. But you're no longer my brother. As long as you're a demon slayer, I have to behead you, he thought. But this thought vanished when he saw Yoriichi place his hand on his sword hilt. An invisible pressure weighed down on him like a mountain. Damn it, he thought. I can't react at all. My neck is already severed. Why? Why is this jealousy burning in me? He wondered. Why is he the only one who can awaken the mark and live so long? Why is his attack, even in his frail old age, still as fast and strong as when he was in his prime? The jealousy was crushing him, and a memory became clear in his mind. I hate you! I want to kill you! He thought. He knew that if Yorichi had swung his sword one more time, his head would have fallen off. Because only a swordsmanship like that is worthy of being called a godly technique, he thought. But you can't swing your sword anymore. You died of old age, while I became a demon to seek immortality. He felt humiliated. I just want to be victorious forever. I can't lose to anyone else, especially after the strongest demon slayer is dead, he thought. Kokushibo screamed, awakening the power within him. The attack in front of him was very close, but countless large crescent blades shot out from his body. Everyone was hit. Sanemi and Gyome barely managed to protect their vital organs. Muichiro, who was the closest, was sliced in half. Genya in the distance was also hit. At this moment, Kokushibo's body grew more sword-like blades. The large crescent blades were now being shot from his body without any movement. Muichiro, who was sliced in half, was still conscious. He was still gripping the sword that was in Kokushibo's body. But he knew he couldn't last much longer. Did I really not help at all? He wondered. Genya, lying in a pool of blood, was also unwilling to die. I have to protect everyone, he thought. At this moment, Sanemi and Gyome, covered in wounds, charged again. They knew they couldn't waste the opportunity that Muichiro had created with his life. But Muichiro was even more worried. The monster in front of me is no longer restricted. If this continues, Gyome and Sanemi will die, he thought, and Muzan is waiting for them. He had to protect the two of them. As Kokushibo prepared to use his previous move, Muichiro, in the nick of time, had his mark reappear on his face. His exhausted hand gripped the sword tighter. Instantly, the sword turned bright red. The change in his body shocked Kokushibo. His body became stiff, as if his internal organs were being incinerated. At that moment, Sanemi's sword slashed at his neck, but it was like cutting through a rock. Genya saw everyone's efforts. These continuous attacks meant Kokushibo was distracted and didn't notice the bullets in his body. So, my blood demon art, Genya thought. He used all his strength to raise his severed arm. Kokushibo escaped his restraints, but tree roots grew from his body. This ability is really annoying, he thought. He turned around to deal with the demon eater first, but as he raised his sword, he realized he couldn't use his sword skills. Gyome's axe slammed down, almost cutting off his head. This humiliation made him furious, but Gyome's axe slashed up from below. All the attacks were aimed at his neck. He realized he still couldn't use his sword skills. Is it because the tree roots in my body are sucking my blood and growing? And the pain from the red sword is paralyzing my body? He wondered. He then remembered that the sword was red, just like Yorichi's. Have you thought about a successor? No one can match our strength. If this continues, our techniques will be lost, he had said. Big brother, you think too highly of us, Yorichi had replied. We are just temporary travelers in the long history of humanity. Children with greater talent than us may be born somewhere in this world. They will definitely reach the same level as us, so don't worry. We just have to follow nature and wait for our lives to end. Don't you think that's something to be happy about, big brother? Sanemi screamed, slashing down on the steel ball. Children born will definitely surpass us, he thought. Thanks to everyone's efforts, Kokushibo's head was finally severed. Yorichi, every time you smile, I feel disgusted, he thought. I was always proud that our generation had such a rare talent. Why is that so funny? He wondered. Even though he was sliced in half, he was still gripping his sword, not letting go. He used a blood demon art in a human body and was sliced many times, but didn't die from blood loss. He has a demon's growth rate and can perform moves that exceed human limits. Even though he wasn't a user of sun breathing, he was able to create a red sword, he thought. Why is thinking about the future so funny? I won't lose to anyone. Even if my head is cut off, I won't lose a second time, he thought. Instantly, the blood on Kokushibo's neck stopped. Gyome immediately reacted, shouting for them to finish him off. We can't let Muichiro and Genya die in vain, he said. Sanemi replied with tears in his eyes. Wind breathing, 8th form, primary gale slash. Rock breathing, punishment wheel. The attacks from the two of them were ineffective. Kokushibo sliced off Muichiro's hand that was holding the sword. He knew his body wasn't destroyed. As long as I pull this sword out, I can regenerate, he thought. And those two children are already dead. In a moment, the effects of the red sword and the art will wear off. Then I will be completely free from the threat of being beheaded. Gyomei and Sanemi continued to attack, but Kokushibo vanished instantly and reappeared behind them. His head had fully regenerated. At this moment, Kokushibo had become a true demon. Not only did he grow fangs and horns, but his body was also covered in black spines, turning him into a monster. Sanemi and Gyomei knew they couldn't stop. We have to kill him before he fully regenerates, they thought. But Kokushibo knew that at this moment, he was almost invincible against anything but sunlight. If this continues, I won't lose to anyone. At that moment, he saw his current form reflected in Sanemi's sword. What is this ugly monster? He wondered. My brother's dream was to become the strongest samurai in the country. Then, I'll become the second strongest, he thought. This form, is this what a samurai looks like? He wondered. Kokushibo seemed to understand. Could this be my true wish? At that moment, his body began to disintegrate. This is the wound from Muichiro's sword, he thought. The attacks from Sanemi and Gyomei descended on him at the same time. At this moment, he realized he still couldn't use his sword skills and blood demon art. This isn't over. I haven't lost. I'm still pitiful. My brother, even after being beheaded and stabbed multiple times, still wouldn't give up. It's humiliating. Even after becoming this ugly monster, I still don't want to lose, he thought. I've lived for hundreds of years. Was it just because I wanted to be stronger, so I ate others? Or was it because I didn't want to die? No, that's not it. It's because I wanted to be like you, the one who never felt jealous of others, he thought. Because you were born with all the favors from the gods. You shone like the sun, incinerating everything in your path. In that era, being a twin was considered a bad omen, as it could lead to an inheritance dispute. His younger twin brother, Yorichi, was born with a terrifying mark on his forehead, which almost caused his father to kill him on the spot, but their mother saved him. However, he was to be sent to a temple when he turned 10, so the two brothers were separated in living arrangements and education. Seeing Yorichi always clinging to their mother, Kokushibo felt pity for him. He would go to Yorichi's small room to play, and even gave him a bamboo flute he made himself. Yorichi had never smiled or spoken since birth, but when he was 7, he saw Kokushibo practicing with his sword. Big brother's dream is to become the strongest samurai in the country, right? He asked. His first words were so fluid, which shocked Kokushibo. Yorichi then said he also wanted to become a samurai, but Kokushibo knew that since he was being sent to a temple at age 10, he could only become a monk. But at that moment, Yorichi smiled for the first time in his life, and Kokushibo felt disgusted. How could a boy who always clung to his mother fight a life or death battle on a battlefield? He wondered. After that, Yorichi would often come to watch his brother train. The sword master, with a playful attitude, gave him a bamboo sword and told him to try to attack. Immediately, a series of attacks landed on the master, knocking him down. It was the first time Yorichi held a sword, and he had defeated a master that Kokushibo could never hit. The spots he hit were all bruised. After that, Yorichi never said he wanted to be a samurai again, because he didn't like the feeling of hitting others with a bamboo sword. But Kokushibo desperately wanted to know the secret to his strength. Yorichi said something he couldn't understand at the time. Before an attack, the opponent's lungs changed significantly. By observing their bones, muscles, and blood flow, I can predict their actions, he said. Kokushibo only understood these words much later. In Yorichi's eyes, everything in this world is transparent. He was born with a mark on his forehead, a special vision, and lightning-fast reflexes, he thought. Kokushibo finally understood. My pitiful younger brother was much more talented than me, he thought. But Yorichi said that instead of swordsmanship, he liked flying kites with his brother more. These words were like a knife to Kokushibo. I'm using all my strength to reach the peak of swordsmanship, but a boy who doesn't care about it is born with a godly talent for it, he thought. In his eyes, I'm just a slow snail. Later, the master told their father about Yorichi's skills. Their positions were immediately reversed. Yorichi was to inherit the family, and Kokushibo was to be sent to the temple. He knew his dream of becoming a samurai had been shattered. But at that moment, Yorichi's voice came from outside. He said their mother had passed away. This news was like a thunderclap. But what was surprising was that Yorichi, who had always clung to their mother, showed no emotion and told Kokushibo he was going to the temple. He was there to say goodbye. He then took out the bamboo flute from his clothes. "I'll keep this flute as a keepsake of my brother," he said. "Even if we're 1,000 miles apart, I won't cry from loneliness." At that moment, Yorichi smiled again, and Kokushibo felt a deep disgust. Yorichi, with a nearly empty backpack, left alone. Later, from their mother's diary, Kokushibo found out that Yorichi knew their father would change his mind, so he left early. He even predicted their mother's death, because she had been paralyzed on her left side for a few years. Kokushibo then understood. Yorichi clinging to his mother was actually helping her stand and walk. At that moment, jealousy burned in his heart. From that moment on, he hated Yorichi, and even wanted him to die. A person who defies logic like him shouldn't exist in this world, he thought. Later, their father sent people to the temple, but Yorichi was gone. He had vanished without a trace. But my wish had come true, he thought. I lived a peaceful life for 10 years and had a family. But those peaceful days made time pass slowly. Until one day, his traveling group was attacked by a demon. As he was about to be killed, the person he never wanted to see appeared before him. "Sorry I'm late," Yorichi said. Kokushibo knew that at this moment, Yorichi was a perfect person in both swordsmanship and character. He craved Yorichi's power, so he abandoned his wife and child and joined the Demon Slayer Corps. Yorichi was willing to teach his swordsmanship and breathing techniques to anyone, but no one could reach his level. So, Yorichi combined their strengths and guided them to improve their breathing techniques. From there, other breathing techniques were developed from sun breathing. The people around him also started to awaken their marks. The strength of the Demon Slayers also increased. Thanks to the increase in swordsmen with marks, Kokushibo also quickly awakened his, which was very similar to Yorichi's, but he could only use moon breathing, which was developed from sun breathing. But he believed that if he trained hard, he could eventually catch up to Yorichi. But then, the swordsmen with marks started dying one by one. Investigations showed that the mark was a price to be paid with one's life. Kokushibo knew this meant he had no future to catch up to Yorichi. At that moment, the Demon King came to him. "Just become a demon, and all your problems will be solved," Muzan had said. "If you become a demon, you will live forever. You want to reach the peak of swordsmanship, and I want to turn those swordsmen into demons. What do you say?" At this moment, Kokushibo felt that his dream could finally come true. "From now on, I'll be free from all restraints," he thought. At least that's what I thought. But Yorichi once again appeared before him. He once again showed strength that defied all logic. He ended his life with a perfect victory. No one, not even the Demon King, could defeat him. No one could even hurt him. Why? Why are you still tormenting me even in death? He wondered. In his rage, he slashed at Yorichi's back. But at that moment, a cloth-wrapped object fell out. It was the bamboo flute. "I will keep this flute as a keepsake of my brother," he had said. "Shut up! Don't say another word! I hate you! Just looking at you makes me angry. Listening to your voice gives me a headache." But even though I've lived for hundreds of years and have forgotten my parents, my wife, and my child, the clearest image in my mind is your face, the one I want to forget the most. You were like the only sun. The people around you, even though you burned them, still tried to reach out to you, because they had no other choice. Until they turned to dust, he thought. Why do I have nothing left? Why are you and I so different? Why can't I become anyone? He wondered. Can you answer me, Yorichi? Sanemi! Stop your attacks! The demon is gone! Gyome said. At that moment, Sanemi was still in a frenzy, slashing at the air. Gyome stepped forward and took his hand, telling him the battle was over. Hearing this, Sanemi finally stopped. Gyome then realized he had been unconscious for a long time. He laid him on the ground and saw Genya, lying in a pool of blood, still alive. Even in his condition, Genya was worried about everyone else. Don't worry, we're all still alive, Gyome said. Muichiro? Genya asked. Gyome looked at Muichiro's body not far away and was speechless. But Genya was still worried and urged him to help Muichiro first. Seeing that Genya was still alive, Gyome knew it was because he had eaten the demon. But he was losing too much blood. Gyome put Sanemi, who had rare blood, next to Genya. Seeing his brother was alive, Genya sighed in relief. Gyome then walked over to Muichiro's body. Muichiro was no longer breathing. Muichiro, it's all thanks to you. Because of you, we won this battle, Gyome said. From the bottom of my heart, I respect you. Even at such a young age, you were so strong. Rest in peace. After we defeat Muzan, I'll see you in the next world, he said. Muichiro opened his eyes. Big brother, he said. His brother was standing in front of him, crying, telling him not to come over and to go back. Why? I've tried my best. Why am I the one who has to be asked that? Why didn't you run away? Muichiro asked. You're only 14, his brother replied. But I couldn't abandon my comrades and run away, Muichiro said. But you shouldn't have died here. Dying like this is meaningless. If you die, you'll never understand why you were born. But you also died when you were only 11. You're more pitiful than me. I've already understood why I was born. I was born to find happiness, he said. You're the same, right? I feel happy living with my parents and you. Even when I was lonely and went through so much pain, I found new friends and regained my happiness and smile. There were moments when I felt happy. I'm not running away anymore. I died to help my friends in the Demon Slayer Corps. I have no regrets, so don't talk about my death like that. I don't care what others say. Just don't say my death was meaningless, he said. His brother then lowered his head and apologized. But I don't want you to die, Muichiro, he said. Sanemi, who had just woken up, screamed in pain. Genya's body was also disintegrating like a demon's. Seeing his brother's condition, Sanemi couldn't hold back his emotions anymore and screamed. I will definitely find a way to save you. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have blamed you before. You always bothered me, he cried. What do you mean, bothered you? I also want to protect you, just like you protected me, Genya replied. I want you to be happy. My brother is the kindest person in the world, he said. At that moment, Sanemi felt helpless. He didn't believe in gods, but he started crying out, Please, don't take my brother away! But Genya's body still vanished. His desperate screams echoed in the air, cursing this unjust world. They were just children who should have had limitless potential, but they had to die so bravely. They couldn't even say a proper goodbye. Gyome walked over. Sanemi looked up. We have to go. We can only end all of this by killing Muzan, Gyome said. The crow then reported their deaths to everyone. Tanjiro cried, heartbroken. My friends who I just met have all left, he thought. But at this moment, he knew he had to be strong. I have to fight to the last moment. Just like them, he thought. At that moment, deep in the Infinity Castle, Muzan's hiding place had been found. What happens next? He wondered. Tanjiro and Giyu, following Kiria's orders, were heading to Muzan's location. Tanjiro was thinking about something. After defeating Akaza, he received a letter from Rengoku's younger brother. He found out that the original Sun God dance had 13 forms, but he only knew 12. But for everyone's sake, he had to fight until he died. Through the crow, Kiria could see the entire Infinity Castle. There's not much time left. Koto is almost unable to hold on, and Muzan will be reborn soon, he thought. This is the most dangerous moment. At that moment, his little sister reported that the first group of fighters had arrived, and the second was on their way. Kiria was shocked and immediately shouted, Don't let the regular swordsmen go to Muzan! Tell them to stay put and wait for the pillar! At that moment, deep in the Infinity Castle, the swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps had surrounded the giant meatball that contained Muzan. But the meatball was floating in the air, so they couldn't do anything. At that moment, Kiria's order finally reached them, but it was too late. The Demon King, Muzan, had broken out of his cocoon. He had black veins on his limbs and horrifying mouths. The swordsmen nearby couldn't react in time and were instantly torn apart. The other swordsmen realized what was happening, but a moment later, flesh and blood were splattered everywhere. The regular swordsmen couldn't even put up a fight against Muzan. Kiria couldn't even see the scene clearly, but he immediately ordered the crow to tell everyone to retreat. If you don't, you'll all become food for Muzan to regain his strength. They're all dead, he thought. After living for thousands of years, even the joy of eating has faded. But when I'm hungry, food tastes so good. The food has been brought to me. I guess you're worthy of praise, Kaguya, Muzan thought. But he knew who was truly commanding this operation. He's very talented. He almost made me lose everything. At this moment, Kirya was losing his mind, screaming for the second group of demon slayers to retreat. I can't let Muzan regain his strength! What about Tamayo's medicine? You said it could turn a demon back into a human, but it couldn't do anything to me, Muzan said. You'll definitely go to hell today. Hundreds of people have said that to me, but it's never come true, Muzan said. Give me back my husband and child, then die, Tamayo shouted. But she couldn't hold on any longer and vanished. At the same time, Yushiro slammed into the wall. The bone-deep pain made him collapse as he felt Tamayo's passing. Muzan continued his slaughter of the surrounding swordsmen. There were too many of them, and they couldn't retreat in time. Seeing his comrades dying, Kirya became hysterical. Is Giyu not here yet? Enough! No one can do anything to me. Tonight, I will personally wipe out the Demon Slayer Corps, Muzan shouted. This is my fault. Because of my arrangement, so many people have died. This opportunity is the result of hundreds of years of effort by the Demon Slayer Corps, Kirya thought. His mind was filled with self-blame. His little sister slapped him, shouting, Please, wake up, Master! This battle isn't over yet! Yes, this battle isn't over yet. Father and our ancestors also endured such pressure, he thought. The slap brought him back to his senses. He quickly reorganized his thoughts and ordered the remaining pillar to gather as soon as possible. He also warned all the swordsmen that Muzan's attack range was terrifying and to not get close to him. After giving the orders, Kirya thanked his two sisters. The crow then reported Muzan's revival to all the pillar and urgently summoned them. Mitsuri and Obanai then realized that the demon playing the biwa had held them back for so long that Muzan had revived. But they couldn't blame her, as she could control the terrain of the Infinity Castle and played a game of hide-and-seek with them. Mitsuri was wondering if the master's order meant they should ignore her and go to the meeting place, but a hand from behind grabbed her collar. Back on Muzan's side, where he had passed, the ground was littered with corpses. Suddenly, the Infinity Castle shook violently. Tanjiro and Giyu were shocked. The scenery around them was changing. Tanjiro was completely stunned. At that moment, the Demon King, Muzan, appeared before him. His heart rate and breathing became faster and faster. The flame of hatred ignited in his heart. Images of his dead mother and siblings, Nezuko, Muichiro, and Genya flashed in his mind. All of this was caused by this monster. This time, no matter what, I will defeat you, he thought. Tanjiro, calm down, Giyu said, but veins were popping on his face. At this moment, he also found it difficult to hide his anger, as the man in front of him had killed his sister and Sabito. You people are so annoying, incredibly annoying, Muzan said. I've had enough of you demon slayers. Every single one of you says you're here for revenge for your dead parents, siblings, and friends, he said. Isn't it enough that you survived? What can you do? Just accept the fact that you survived and live your life. Isn't that better? What nonsense are you talking about? Just treat being killed by me as a natural disaster. Just like rain, storms, earthquakes, or volcanic eruptions. No one seeks revenge on them. The dead can't come back anyway. Instead of being obsessed with the past, why don't you find a job and live a stable life? That's what most humans do. Why can't you? There's only one reason. You're all abnormal. I've had enough of these abnormal people. Tonight, I will personally end all of you, Muzan said. Hearing this, Tanjiro finally understood. Muzan, you are a creature that shouldn't exist in this world, he thought. His cold emotions and deep hatred made Tanjiro unable to accept what he was saying. But he knew that even by cutting off his head, he couldn't kill him. Only sunlight could. So, according to the master's order, they had to gather with everyone else and stall for time until sunrise. So, until I have a useful message to help kill Muzan, I can't die, Tanjiro thought. The battle has just begun. Muzan swung his right arm, which turned into two whips with sharp thorns. The terrifying speed and range of the attacks were so great that the two of them couldn't react in time. Giyu barely managed to dodge, while Tanjiro used his senses to find a gap and get closer to Muzan. He dodged the closest attack and was happy with his success. But Muzan's whip came at him again. Tanjiro jumped to dodge it. I dodged it! I can do this! He thought. But he was slammed into the ground, and his right eye was slashed open. He didn't even see the attack. Before he could think, Muzan's whip came again. Luckily, Giyu saved him in time. Tanjiro, don't try to get close to him. His strength is on another level compared to the upper moons, Giyu said. As soon as he finished, the whip came again. Muzan guessed their plan. You want to wait until sunrise, but sunlight can't get into the Infinity Castle, he said. Can you really do it with only 3 pillar? The swordsman with the striped haori and the female pillar have already been killed by my subordinate, he said. It turned out Muzan could share vision with Nakime. He saw the 2 pillar being killed. Before they could grieve, Muzan attacked again. This attack separated the 2 of them. Tanjiro! No! I won't let you hold me back! I can't hurt Giyu! Tanjiro thought. He used all his strength. Even though he wasn't used to the vision from his left eye, he still managed to dodge the attack. Even if I'm blind, I can still use my senses to see the world, he thought. But the longer he fought, the more exhausted he became. Muzan's speed and attack rate were too fast. He slammed into a wall, having been too focused on his senses to pay attention to his surroundings. Giyu couldn't save him in time. Muzan's whip was coming for his head. It's over, he thought. Stop! Mitsuri shouted, descending from above. What? That woman! She's still alive! Love breathing, feeling love strikes. A long-range attack hit Muzan, but he was unharmed. On the other side, Obanai also arrived and saved Tanjiro. You useless person, get out of the way, he said. Seeing that both of them were still alive, Tanjiro was overjoyed to the point of tears. Don't cry for us. Worry about yourself first, Obanai said. Muzan was shocked. How are these 2 still alive? Nakime, what are you doing? He shouted. I'm controlling this woman's vision, of course, Nakime said. Muzan, you've committed the greatest sin in this world. You took Tamayo from me. Get down on your knees and repent, a voice shouted. Suddenly, the Infinity Castle shook violently. I'll throw you down to the ground! The floor under them started rising rapidly. Mitsuri felt the pressure increasing. She was almost being crushed, but Muzan was right in front of her, and she had to find a way to attack him. Looking at the cruel Demon King, she was so scared that she didn't know what she was saying. Gyome, come here! Without you, I'm so scared! She cried. The plan of the demon boy was falling apart. The situation for Giyu and the others was much more dangerous than expected. I'm sorry. At that time, Yushiro found me and said, even though I'm a demon, I'm on your side. If you're not stupid, cooperate with me right now. Okay, I said. So, Tamayo had created this plan for Mitsuri to distract Nakime. He would then try to enter her brain to temporarily escape Muzan's control. Oh, can you do that? How clever. I'll make Muzan see the images of the pillar being killed, and you'll seize this opportunity to gather and attack him, Yushiro said. Mitsuri knew that if their plan failed, Tamayo would be in a life-or-death battle with Muzan. So they had to attack Muzan to distract him and help Yushiro gain the upper hand in the fight for control. But as she was about to attack, the terrain changed and almost killed her. Just as Mitsuri had thought, Muzan was trying to regain control of Nakime. Yushiro close to his limit. Muzan's strength was overwhelming, and he was absorbing Tamayo's cells through Nakime. He had to risk it. The 2 of them shouted from 2 different locations, Muzan in fury. At that moment, water breathing, 9th form, splashing water flow, chaotic, serpent breathing, 1st form, winding serpent slash. Giyu and Obanai attacked Muzan from both sides. Muzan was finding it difficult to defend himself. On the other side, the black veins on Yushiro's hand were disappearing. It's done! I can defeat him! Suddenly, the floor under them vanished. Seeing the dangerous situation, Muzan reached out his hand. Knowing he couldn't win, he decided to kill Nakime. If he do this, the Infinity Castle will collapse, Yushiro thought. He knew he had to use the remaining time before Tamayo cells disintegrated to get Muzan and the other surviving members out of the Infinity Castle. On the other side, the walls started to twist violently. The corpses of the demon slayers appeared. Seeing them, Tanjiro was heartbroken. They died so unjustly, he thought. Muzan attacked again, and Mitsuri and Obanai barely dodged. But Tanjiro was seriously injured and couldn't dodge, getting hit in the shoulder. At that moment, everyone was on one platform. The platform was rising rapidly. Just then, Muzan's whip appeared in front of Mitsuri. She couldn't dodge at this distance. Tanjiro threw something with all his might. Muzan's attack was blocked. Obanai saved Mitsuri in time. It was a broken sword from a dead swordsman. At that moment, the pressure increased, crushing Tanjiro into the floor. Everyone finally escaped from the Infinity Castle. That means the battle has come to the surface, they thought. Looking at the moon hanging high in the sky, Tanjiro knew they had finally escaped the Infinity Castle. But at that moment, he realized something was wrong. They were in a residential area. Kiria also saw the situation. The location was not where he had predicted, but he knew there was no other way. Yushiro had a hard time just getting everyone out of there. He turned and asked his little sister how long until sunrise. About an hour and a half, she replied. That's still a long time, he thought. He quickly ordered the crow to tell everyone the time. At this moment, in the rubble, Tanjiro, Mitsuri, Obanai, and Giyu were safe, but the battle was far from over. Tanjiro knew he had to find Muzan's location. But suddenly, strange sounds came from the rubble. Countless bizarre tentacles with sharp thorns grew from Muzan's back. You want to stall for time until sunrise? Then go ahead and try, he said. The tentacles, like spears, lunged at them. Mitsuri, Obanai, and Giyu didn't retreat, but charged forward. Serpent breathing, third form. Love breathing, second form. Water breathing, eighth form. The three of them formed a triangle, completely trapping Muzan. Obanai, who was responsible for the final blow, slashed at Muzan's neck, and the blade plunged deep into his flesh. I'm about to cut off his head, he thought. This will buy us more time. But at that moment, he stopped. Even though the blade was deep inside him, Muzan had already regenerated. The regeneration speed was so fast that they couldn't react in time. Muzan was unharmed and prepared to attack. At such close range, they couldn't dodge. A group of regular swordsmen appeared, blocking Muzan's attack with their bodies. They used their bodies as shields for the three pillar, because they knew that only the pillar could fight Muzan. They were willing to sacrifice their lives to protect them. The attack aimed at Tanjiro was also blocked. He held the swordsman in front of him, panting. Seeing the swordsmen surrounding Muzan, he knew they would die, but they were determined to move forward. Tanjiro used his breathing technique and charged at Muzan. Now I have to join them, he thought. But at that moment, a sharp pain made him collapse. Blood spewed from his mouth, and he felt a violent reaction in his right eye. Dying right now is a blessing for you, Muzan said. Even if you don't die instantly, you'll still die for sure. Now, watch this, he said. The three of them looked at Tanjiro, who was on the ground, holding his neck, with blood spewing from his mouth and his eyes blinded. His eyes were filled with rotting flesh, a horrifying sight. I've injected my blood into my attack. This blood won't turn you into a demon, but it will act as a poison that violently destroys your cells and eventually leads to your death. Kamado Tanjiro is dead. At the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps, Nezuko suddenly sat up, covered in sweat. Sakanji shouted in alarm. A loud bang on the door startled Uzui. He saw Sakanji chasing Nezuko. Everyone was confused about what was happening to Nezuko. The former flame pillar immediately reported the situation to the master. Kiria was also shocked. What's happening? Is she being controlled by Muzan? No, that's impossible. Did the medicine to turn her back into a human work? No, if it worked, Sakanji would have stopped her, he thought. We have to send people to chase her. But a pair of hands was placed on his shoulder. It's okay. Let Nezuko go, the hand said. His little sister anxiously asked if they should send people to chase her. No, we don't have to. But what if she's captured by a demon, and everything ends? His sister said. You're right, but that's what father told me. Nezuko's figure was getting farther and farther away. She was so fast that Sakanji was almost left behind. But a jump from such a height meant that she hadn't become a human yet. Her father's spirit was guiding her to the battlefield. But Tanjiro's condition was getting worse. On the other side, the battle with Muzan was still going on. Giyu realized he was still using a broken sword. He had to find a complete one. Obanai was also starting to feel exhausted. Muzan's attack speed and rate were too fast. Then all three of them were hit at the same time. Even with my Demon Slayer mark, I couldn't completely dodge his wide-range attack. It seems my attacks are still not strong enough to kill a swordsman with a mark, Muzan thought. Mitsuri was panicking. So many swordsmen sacrificed their lives to protect me, yet I was still attacked, she thought. Her panic and the pain in her chest slowed her down. Obanai was also in a frenzy, but Muzan's attack was aimed straight at Mitsuri's face. Knowing she couldn't dodge, Mitsuri screamed, "Don't worry about me! Protect yourselves! Please!" Muzan's attack was blocked. A giant axe appeared in front of her. "I'm sorry I'm late, Mitsuri." "Gyome, you're here!" she cried. Muzan recognized him as the demon slayer who defeated Kokushibo. Suddenly, a sword slashed at his head. Sanemi appeared like a savior. His eyes were empty, but he was still fighting. He then threw a bag of something at Muzan. Before it could reach him, Muzan destroyed it. But the liquid inside splattered all over him. Before he could react, Sanemi lit a match with his sword in his mouth. Muzan's body was engulfed in flames. "This is that clever trick again. You have to use these tricks to deal with me? You'll all die a miserable death. Die, you trash!" Muzan said. Outside the battlefield, Murata crawled out of the rubble. Seeing Muzan nearby, he took his sword and prepared to help, but Giyu called him back and told him to take Tanjiro to be treated. Murata carried Tanjiro and said, "Don't worry, Tanjiro. I'll take you to be treated." At this moment, he was filled with emotions. "Giyu still remembers my name. We were in the same final selection, and we're comrades, but now we're worlds apart," he thought. Tanjiro was in a coma. "Sorry, everyone. I fought with all my might until the last moment. Is the sky bright yet? No, that can't be. It's so strange. I can't smell anything," he thought. At that moment, he was standing in front of a small hut. The scenery was both familiar and strange. "Is this my house? No, it doesn't look like it. What am I doing? Cutting wood? Is this a dying memory?" he wondered. A child grabbed his hand and called him father. Who is this child? He wondered. He looked in the direction the child was pointing. Isn't that the swordsman with the original breathing technique from my dream? He must be Yorichi, he thought. Back in reality, Murata was trying to perform CPR on Tanjiro. After a while, he leaned down to listen. At that moment, Tanjiro had stopped breathing, and his heart had stopped. A loud shout from a swordsman startled him. It was telling him to go and help Yushiro, who was trapped under the rubble. But what about Tanjiro? The swordsman explained that if he saved Yushiro, he could save Tanjiro. Murata thought it made sense and followed him. In his dream, Tanjiro and Yorichi were sitting in front of the house. "I've always wanted to talk to someone. I've been thinking for a long time, and the image that comes to my mind is you and Sumiyoshi," Yorichi said. Tanjiro didn't understand what he was talking about, but he knew he could ask him about the 13th form of the sun god dance. But his body automatically said, "We haven't seen each other in 2 years. It's good to see you're healthy." Tanjiro was shocked. "What am I saying?" he wondered, but he continued playing with the child and talking. "The baby that was in the womb is so big now," he said. Tanjiro realized that the person in this memory wasn't him. It was a memory inherited from his ancestor, and he couldn't interfere. "I'm happy to see you all living a good life," Yorichi said. "Seeing others happy makes me feel that this world is full of wonderful things. I think just being born is a happy thing. My mother was a very devout person. Every day, she would pray for the world to be peaceful, and for the sun god to heal my congenitally deaf ear. She even made me a pair of earrings as a charm. It's all because I didn't like to talk, and it made her worry. I always felt guilty about that. My brother was a kind and good person, always thinking of me. The next day, he was beaten by my father for standing up for me. He gave me a wooden flute that he made and told me that if I ever needed help, I just had to play it, and he would come to me," Yorichi said. "After my mother passed away, I, the shunned child, chose to leave home, but I didn't go to the temple. I just wanted to run under the starry sky, so I ran all night without stopping. When I woke up, I was in a paddy field. There was a lonely girl there, about my age. I walked up to her and asked what she was doing. She said her family had all died from an illness, and she was lonely, so she wanted to catch some tadpoles from the field to keep as pets," he said. "But when it got dark, she let them all go. I asked her why, and she said it would be sad for them to be separated from their family. Hearing this, I was moved, and I told her I would go home with her. She was stunned, and tears fell from her black eyes. The girl's name was Yuta. I started living with her. She was a talkative girl who would talk from morning until night. Because of her, I realized how different the world looked in my eyes compared to others. It was the first time I felt that alienation. I was like a kite with a cut string, and she was the wind that brought me back to my path, Yoriichi said. 10 years later, we became husband and wife. One day, Yuta was about to give birth, so I went to find a midwife. I planned to come back before sunset, but I met an old man with a weak heart who was trying to get to the battlefield to save his son. So I took him to his son. I decided to find a midwife the next day, but no matter how fast I ran, it was already dark when I got home. Yuta and our unborn child were killed. Even the things I cherished more than my life were so easily taken away from me. I held my wife's corpse and sat there for 10 days, until a swordsman who was chasing a demon advised me to bury her. That's when I finally came to my senses. My dream was to live a peaceful life with my family in a small house, to be able to see my loved ones by raising my head, and to be able to touch them by reaching out my hands. But even such a small dream couldn't come true, because demons exist in this world. So I became a demon slayer, he said. But the swordsman who had been fighting demons for years didn't know about breathing techniques, so I passed on everything I knew. The swordsmen, later known as the Pillar, were very strong. After combining their 5 different swordsmanship styles with breathing techniques, their fighting strength increased even more. The Demon Slayer Corps started to gain the upper hand. My brother also joined the Corps after his comrades were killed. Not long after, I found the ancestor of all demons. The moment I saw him, I knew I was born to kill him. He radiated a tyrannical aura, as if he wanted to devour everything. He attacked me. His speed was not only fast, but his attack range was also huge. I barely dodged, and I heard the sound of bamboo forest behind me being cut down. I knew that one hit was enough to kill me. This man had 5 brains and 7 hearts, Yoriichi said. At the same time, I completed my swordsmanship. Hearing this, Tanjiro knew this was the 13th form of Sun God dance. He was confused because his body couldn't regenerate. He used his severed arm to try and lift his severed head. Even though he was the ancestor of all demons, my breathing technique could still hurt him. It was a very effective attack. There was a question I've always wanted him to answer, so I asked him, "What do you think about life?" He didn't answer, just kept staring at me with hatred. His face was getting uglier, and I knew he hadn't heard my question, so I looked at the female demon with him, and I saw she had no intention of saving her companion, only staring at the man I beheaded. I saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes, so I decided to ignore her for now and prepared to finish him off. But as I was about to strike, he exploded. Facing over 1,800 pieces of meat, I managed to cut down over 1,500 of them, but a few of them escaped. The female demon knelt down, crying, muttering, "Just a little more. Just a little more!" She grabbed her hair and shouted, "Why don't you die, you filthy demon? Kibutsuji Muzan!" But she was stunned, as if she was surprised that she hadn't died after shouting that name. She then started talking to me about that man, saying that Muzan would not easily show up before everyone died. Before I passed away, I told her I hoped she would help me kill him. She hesitated but eventually agreed. She had a very sad look in her eyes. Her name was Tamayo. Later, my comrades in the Demon Slayer Corps found me and told me that my brother had become a demon. Because I failed to kill Muzan and purposely let Tamayo go, I was expelled from the Corps. Some even wanted me to commit seppuku to atone for my sins. Thanks to the master of the Demon Slayer Corps, I was able to leave the Corps and live. But it wasn't your fault, I thought, Yoriichi said. I feel like I was born with this strength just to kill Muzan, but I failed. So many people will die because of my failure. I'm so sorry, Yoriichi said. At this moment, Tanjiro didn't know what to say. So many things have happened to Mr. Yoriichi. He thought his ancestor, Sumiyoshi, could say something to comfort him, but there was only a long silence. Even though he wanted to do something to help this man who was covered in emotional scars, a child suddenly grabbed his sleeve and asked for a hug. "Yoriichi, please, hug the child." "The higher you hug him, the happier he'll be," Sumiyoshi said. Mr. Yoriichi, who was taller than me, hesitated but then picked up the child and raised him over his head. The child suddenly smiled happily. Yoriichi was stunned, and tears started to fall from his eyes. His wife, who had just returned, was confused. But seeing the man holding the child, she realized it was Mr. Yorichi. Even though she didn't know why he was crying, she patted his head and said, "It's okay. I'll make you a nice meal, so hang in there." Seeing this, Tanjiro also shed tears. This is the life Mr. Yorichi wanted, he thought. I hope you, who died hundreds of years ago, can finally find some peace. We'll take on the mission of defeating Muzan. On the battlefield, Muzan attacked again with a wide-range attack. Giyu and Sanemi tried their best to defend themselves, while Gyomei was still thinking of a strategy. But he realized Muzan was too fast, and he had no time to think of a strategy. Mitsuri was also trying her best, but she could feel her wounds getting worse. I can't last much longer. I can't even be a meat shield for Gyomei, she thought. Muzan attacked Mitsuri again, as she couldn't see his attacks and could only dodge by instinct and luck. She knew that if she didn't do anything, she would die without helping anyone. So she decided to risk her life to attack Muzan. But just as she was about to attack, Muzan attacked her first. She dodged the attack and thought that fighting him up close would be more effective in limiting his movements. But as soon as she finished, something pulled her in. Obanai was shocked and rushed to save her. What was that? Mitsuri should have dodged that, he thought. Muzan seized the opportunity and used his long whips to attack the two of them. Giyu, Sanemi, and Gyomei, of course, wouldn't let him succeed. They blocked all of his attacks. The three of them then charged at Muzan again. Taking advantage of the three holding Muzan back, Obanai entrusted the seriously injured Mitsuri to the support team and told them to find Yushiro. But Mitsuri, enduring the pain, said, "Wait, I can still fight! This time, I won't hold you guys back!" "Don't say that. You've done well," Obanai said. "No, I haven't helped anyone yet. I won't be able to rest if I leave the battlefield like this," she said. But Obanai didn't listen to her. "Please, take care of her," he said, and rushed back to the battlefield. Mitsuri collapsed on the ground, screaming, "Obanai-san, don't die. I don't want to see anyone die anymore." On his way back to the battlefield, Obanai was also thinking, if there were no demons in this world, how many people could live the life they deserved? If I could meet her again in a world without demons, how wonderful would that be? No, I have to, he thought. At that moment, the bandages on his face fell off. I have to die once to change this body with its dirty blood. If I don't, I'm not worthy to stand beside her. It turned out his mouth was torn open. I'm a killer, a descendant of a shameless family that lived in luxury with stolen money. My family was so shameless. For 370 years, they never had a son until I was born. From the moment I was born, I was locked in a cage. My mother, sisters, and female relatives would say sweet things to me and look at me with strange eyes. They would bring me extravagant food. The cage had no windows, and the smell of blood and rust made me constantly feel nauseous. Every night, I would hear the sound of a giant beast crawling on the floor, and in the darkness, I could feel its gaze on me. I was so scared that I couldn't close my eyes until the sound stopped. When I was 12, I was finally taken out of the cage and brought to a luxurious and bright room. There was a female demon with a giant snake body sitting on a shrine like a god. She had a snake tongue and a row of terrifying heads in front of her. Even though I had never left the cage, I knew this was the monster who had been watching me every night. "You're too small. Let's let him grow a little bigger," she said. For over 300 years, my family had been living in luxury with the money they stole from the people they killed. And to atone for their sins, they sacrificed their female children to this demon who loved to eat them, especially the rare boy with special eyes. The demon was very interested in me and wanted to fatten me up to eat me. After she made that decision, she said she would make me look like her and ordered someone to cut my mouth open with a knife. From that day on, all I could think about was escaping and surviving. I started using a stolen knife to pry open the cage door. The fear of being caught at any moment constantly tormented me. The only living thing I could trust was a small snake that found its way into my cage, Kaburamaru. After so much effort, I finally escaped my cage, but I couldn't escape the demon's pursuit. Just as I thought I was going to die, the flame pillar of that era appeared and saved me. He took me to my only surviving cousin, who cursed me and said it was my fault the family was killed. I was supposed to be a sacrifice, so I should have let myself be eaten. I knew her words were illogical, but they still hurt me. I also thought about the consequences for my family if I escaped, but I still wanted to live, so I ran away. As a member of a despicable family, I also considered myself a bad person, so I didn't dare to wish for a normal life. All the emotions I couldn't express were channeled into killing demons, which gave me a sense of relief. But even so, the image of my family with their hateful eyes, dead and rotting, still haunted me, preventing me from moving forward. I thought that after killing Muzan, I would commit seppuku. I hoped that in my next life, in a world without demons, I could be reborn and meet her again. I truly want to tell her that I love her, he thought. Meanwhile, the Demon Slayer Corps' support team was evacuating the citizens, telling them that the foundations of the buildings were sinking and they had to evacuate. One of the support members was checking for people trapped in the rubble. He found a small cat, Chachamaru, Tamayo's cat, that had once followed Tanjiro to collect blood samples. As soon as the team member lifted the board, Chachamaru ran toward the battlefield. Back on the battlefield, Obanai rejoined the battle, determined to risk his life. He swung his sword and charged. In an instant, Muzan's arm was severed. To stop Muzan from regenerating, he kicked the severed arm away. This is the best way I can stall for time, he thought. But even so, he had to focus on dodging Muzan's attacks. Immediately, Muzan's attack created multiple whirlpools on the ground. These terrifying attacks were created from the mouths on his arms. This is probably how Mitsuri was injured, he thought. Not only was the range wide, but the suction force was also very strong. He had to use a lot of strength to escape. But he couldn't pay too much attention to that. In this life-or-death battle, I have to keep fighting, even for a second. All the demon slayers were willing to die. He couldn't let the people who died protecting them die in vain. At that moment, Gyu's sword fell from his hand. He was shocked to see his hand covered in rotting flesh, and he couldn't use his strength. Obanai and Gyomei immediately protected him. Gyu's mind went blank. "If you get distracted again, I'll kill you myself," Sanemi said. His words snapped him out of it. His hand, covered in rotting flesh, gripped the sword again. Water breathing? 11th form? Don't think about anything else. I won't tarnish the title of Water Pillar. I'll fight until the end, he thought. These guys are more stubborn than I thought. But they'll die soon. Only 1 hour and 14 minutes until sunrise. But I don't need 5 minutes. They'll be killed by my cells, Muzan said. Humans are like that. No matter how much you struggle, you can only die in the end. At this moment, Gyu's face was also covered in rotting flesh, and everyone's wounds were festering again. This is not good. I can't hold on until sunrise. The smaller their bodies, the faster the poison works. Damn it, he thought. But at that moment, Chachamaru suddenly appeared on the battlefield. Muzan was surprised. He didn't recognize the cat. Instantly, Chachamaru's backpack opened, and 4 vials appeared. Everyone was so badly injured that they couldn't react and were injected with the medicine. What is this? They wondered. Muzan's long whip immediately sliced Chachamaru in half. Muzan was paranoid and didn't allow any mishaps to happen. What is this cat? He wondered. But before he could finish, Sanemi's face had completely healed. He dodged Muzan's whip and realized something. The cat saved us, he thought. Gyomei also felt the pain in his body lessen, but he knew that the medicine was only a temporary fix. But that was enough for them to continue fighting. Muzan also understood instantly. It's Tamayo, that cunning woman. Even in death, she's still fighting me. His fury caused him to use all his whips at once, covering the entire battlefield. They could only dodge in the small gaps. This terrifying strength meant that one hit was enough to kill them. And his attacks also came with powerful whirlpools. Everyone's strength was depleting quickly. At this moment, Obanai was gritting his teeth. My contribution is far less than the other pillar. I have to find a more effective attack. He knew that when facing the threat of death, humans would unleash an explosive power. Just like my weak hands, which could only hold chopsticks, but I was able to use one of my hairs to break the iron bars of my cage. Just like Muichiro, when he was dying, he proved with his actions that any sword could be turned red, he thought. According to the Crow's report, Muichiro could only hold his sword tightly at that moment. So, it must be the friction that increases the temperature of the sword, turning it red. This can only happen when a person is facing a life-or-death situation. So, I need to grip my sword with all my might. At that moment, he didn't realize that the snake-like patterns were appearing on his arm. The sword in his hand had turned red. The red sword has returned. Can they still find a way to survive? He wondered. Seeing the red sword, Obanai wasn't happy. I made a mistake, he thought. I was so focused on killing Muzan that I rushed to activate the red sword. Now my vision is getting blurry, and I'm running out of oxygen due to exhaustion. I'm about to pass out, he thought. Muzan's attack was coming for him, and he could hear Sanemi's scream in the distance. In my heart, there are so many thoughts telling me to keep fighting for Mitsuri. But he couldn't feel anything. Muzan's attack descended on him. Even though Giyu had rushed to help, he was too late. But Obanai appeared in the air. No one saw how he dodged Muzan's attack. But how can he dodge in mid-air? They wondered. Muzan attacked again, but Obanai, as if he had wings, dodged again. Immediately, an invisible slash cut off Muzan's arm. A jagged cut, not a normal sword cut. And the person who ran to save him couldn't have done it either. What a strange series of events. It seems there's someone else here, Muzan thought. Even though he couldn't see them, he knew they were there. It must be the hiding ability of the demon under Tamayo's command. Even though I can't see you, if you move, I'll find you, he thought. By observing the dust and the sound of the wind, he found them. Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Kanao. So you're still alive. They used Tamayo's spell to save Obanai, and stalled for more time. Before I kill this bastard, I won't die, Inosuke said. A bunch of talismans fell from his body. I have plenty of talismans. You won't be able to do anything to me, he said. But before he could finish, Muzan's whip sent him flying. But at this moment, Obanai had regained his composure and swung his sword in a snake-like motion, severing both of Muzan's arms. Unlike before, the regeneration of his severed limbs was much slower. The red sword can also slow his regeneration. Seizing the opportunity, Kanao and Zenitsu put on the talismans and vanished from his sight. Flower-breathing, fourth form safflower robe. Thunder-breathing, first form thunderclap flash. The attacks from the two of them didn't cause any real damage, but their purpose was achieved. Serpent-breathing, third form coiling serpent slash. With the help of the others and the red sword, Obanai was able to hold Muzan back. Gyomei finally had a chance to rest. He threw his steel ball and axe, just like he did with Kokushibo. The two weapons clashed and turned red again. But this fiery heat wouldn't last long. Gyomei's attack hit Muzan's back, crushing his entire left chest. This burning sensation! It's the red sword again, Muzan thought. On the other side, Sanemi suddenly shouted and slashed at Giyu. Even though he was confused, Giyu could only block the attack. Giyu immediately understood. So this is how to turn a sword red, he thought. At this moment, all the pillar had red swords. The battle was getting more intense. Meanwhile, Yushiro was injecting Tanjiro with medicine. But Tanjiro had been unconscious for a long time due to the poison. His condition was very serious. But even so, he was still gripping his sword, not letting go. This showed his determination to keep fighting. Suddenly, a faint heartbeat was detected. Tanjiro's heart had started beating again. Murata cried out, shouting Tanjiro's name. Tanjiro, wake up! Everyone had a hard time forcing Muzan into this situation. We have to defeat him together. But the heartbeat is getting weaker. Is it not enough? Tanjiro, if you don't wake up, Muzan will escape, he shouted. Suddenly, a strange sound was heard. It was from Tanjiro's hand, gripping his sword. Meanwhile, the battle continued. If this continues, they might actually be able to hold on until sunrise. Gyomei's attack crushed half of Muzan's chest. At that moment, Sanemi quickly picked up a talisman from the ground and stuck it to his forehead. As expected, he became invisible and could see the others who also had talismans. Inosuke was urging Zenitsu. He also wanted to make his sword red like Sanemi's, but Kanao said it wasn't that easy. Without the power of a pillar, you can't do it, she said. In his invisible state, Sanemi's sword skills became more agile. Gyomei was also focused on his senses. If I can use my clairvoyance to track Muzan's movements, it would be a huge advantage, he thought. By concentrating and listening to the sound, just like when he fought Kokushibo, he realized that Muzan had so many hearts. This must be why he can't be killed by a beheading. Moreover, his hearts and brains can move inside his body. Without pinpointing their exact locations, it's difficult to cause effective damage. If the others can also see through his body like me, we can attack his 12 weak points at once. Thinking of this, Gyomei immediately told Obanai to focus and observe Muzan's body. Obanai, after receiving the hint, widened his eyes to find that strange feeling. As expected, Muzan's body became transparent, and the complex structure of his internal organs was visible. But at that moment, a violent tremor came from the end of the street. A support team member panicked, turned toward the battle, but all he saw was Muzan standing in the middle of the street. The pillar who were fighting him were all lying in a pool of blood. Are they dead or alive? He wondered. It was so fast. No one would have thought that after all this time, Muzan's speed could still increase so much. At this moment, only Kanao was kneeling on the ground. Her wounds were too severe for her to get up. The monster who killed my sisters and stole everyone's loved ones is right here. I have to fight until the end, like my sister Shinobu, she thought. But her body couldn't move. It's too late, Muzan said. Sunday God dance, burning bones, summer sun, a voice shouted. Tanjiro, sorry I'm late. She's counting on you, Tanjiro said. You're so ugly. It's hard to tell who the demon is. The disgusting feeling I've had for so long is the person I see before me, he thought. Let's end this, Muzan. Tanjiro reborn in fire. The unusual voice and expression in that final dream. What happened? He wondered. If I can give a perfect and correct explanation after repeating it hundreds of times, it will help someone understand the problem more deeply. Tanjiro knew what he saw was an uncontrollable dream. The angle of Yorichi's wrist, his footsteps, his breathing, all of it helped him realize the unnecessary movements he needed to correct. Yorichi was a very calm and simple person. Sumiyoshi only asked a few times to see his amazing swordsmanship, and Yorichi immediately performed. Sumiyoshi, standing on the side, memorized every detail. Sun breathing is not only an amazing swordsmanship, but it's also beautiful to watch. When Yorichi performs it, he looks less like a human and more like a god, he thought. That's why sun breathing was passed down as the sun god dance. Sumiyoshi and his child were very happy after watching it, while Yorichi was too shy and lowered his head. Their family was always waiting for him, but when it was time to say goodbye, Yorichi took off his earrings and gave them to Sumiyoshi. Sumiyoshi also knew that Yorichi would probably never return. Seeing Yorichi's lonely figure walking away, Tanjiro couldn't hold back his tears. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't control his body. But to his surprise, Sumiyoshi spoke. Yorichi-san, we will definitely protect what you've protected. Your life was not meaningless. No one has the right to criticize you like that. I promise to pass on your earrings and sun breathing forever, he said. Yorichi was stunned, and then he gave a genuine smile that he hadn't shown in a long time. Thank you, Yorichi-san, Tanjiro thought. I'm the one who should thank you for protecting our ancestors. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Thanks to your trust in Tamayo, she was able to live until today and cooperate with the Demon Slayer Corps, forcing Muzan into this desperate situation. Thanks to your swordsmanship that you performed that day, I was able to learn the Sun God dance and fight Muzan. Even after hundreds of years, the 12 forms of sun breathing were passed down perfectly. Waltz Azure Heaven, Scorching Crimson Mirror, Parhelion Rainbow, Fire Chariot, Bone Burning Sun, Sunflower Lance, Scorching Flame Haze, The Setting Sun, Shining Ray of Grace, Solar Halo, Dragon Dance, Flame Waltz. The moves you performed. But I was always curious about the 13th form that the Flame Pillar mentioned. I was very curious. Circle of the Azure and Burning Bones. Summer Sun sound very similar. My father once told me that if I learned the right breathing, I could dance all night until sunrise. And now, after observing Muzan's body structure, I'm sure of it. Using the 12 forms of sun, breathing in a loop creates a full circle. This must be the 13th form. Now, all I have to do is dodge Muzan's attacks, and use Waltz Azure Heaven as the head, and Flame Waltz as the tail, repeating the forms over and over again, attacking his brain and heart until sunrise. This sounds absurd, but this might be what it's like to be in hell, he thought. But I don't have the brilliant mind of Yorichi-san, or my father. I don't know if my body can last, Until sunrise. I can't imagine if Muzan tries to run away again. Can I stop him? He wondered. Now I understand why that person suddenly lost his confidence. Can I really do what even Yorichi-san couldn't do? But no matter how many doubts I have to use all my strength. I can't give up. I can't fall. My heart, burn! Muzan swung his whip to attack. But Tanjiro was no longer the weakling he was before. He had mastered the 12 forms of Sun God dance, and with his see-through ability, he was not afraid to face Muzan. This familiar swordsmanship and expression, it's Yorichi again, Muzan thought. In his fury, his speed increased, and his whips attacked from all directions. Tanjiro was hit. So this is why everyone was so overwhelmed, he thought. The 8 tubes on his outer thigh are much faster than the 9 on his back, and his 2 arms. These are his real fatal attacks. He can change his body at will. If I think he's standing still, he can attack me from an unexpected angle. Before he could think of a strategy, Muzan's attack came again. Sun breathing, waltz azure heaven, scorching crimson mirror. They can really be connected to each other. They were designed that way, he thought. I wasn't wrong, Yorichi-san. This time, I will connect all 12 forms, with both my technique and my will to fight to the death. This determination made Tanjiro's style resemble Yorichi's. Can he really use the 13th form and turn the tide by himself? He wondered. I know that living things who have been to the edge of death become stronger. They awaken all their senses and powers that they don't normally use. If they can't awaken that, they will die. So, even without Nezuko's blood demon art, his sword turned black. He must have opened that door. But the other pillar also turned their swords red in their own way. Your strength is still far from his, Muzan said. The attacks from his black sword were never weak or soft like this. Fire chariot, solar halo, dragon dance, Tanjiro said. I've finally used half of them. My brain and hearts are constantly moving, and his attacks are being blocked too quickly. Tanjiro felt his lungs being crushed, and his heart was about to explode. But there's still an hour left until sunrise, he thought. One moment of distraction, and Muzan's attack will slice you in half. Focus on the present. Don't think about anything else. If you don't, your body will slow down. I have to hold on for just one more second, aiming for the moment of sunrise. Parhelion rainbow. Bone-burning sun, he thought. But these 2 attacks were not as strong as the previous ones. Muzan easily dodged them. The forms have lost their precision. The black sword will probably disappear soon. Is this all he has? But he is the descendant of that monster. After thousands of years, I can't believe I'm being pushed around like this, Muzan thought. All the tentacles on my body will attack him at once. Tanjiro tried his best to dodge, but his body couldn't handle it anymore. Muzan's whip came at him again. But Tanjiro, even though he was about to collapse, managed to dodge the fatal blow at the last second. This is so strange. His movements have slowed down. But why can't I kill him? Muzan wondered. It seems I have a blind spot. The problem isn't Tanjiro, but me. My speed has decreased significantly, and I didn't even notice it. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have failed twice in this one-on-one fight. I know now. The cause is that woman. I have to force Tamayo's cells to reveal the truth, he thought. Muzan decided to slow down his attacks and force Tamayo's cells in his body to speak. What have you done? You didn't inject me with just one type of medicine, did you? Besides the medicine that turns demons into humans, what else did you use? He shouted. Don't even think about it. Just use the enhanced brain that you got from your fear of death, Tamayo's voice replied. It seemed her cells were still not under his control. Then I'll just read the memories left in her cells. That woman was the one who used the poison that Douma ate. I thought we should prepare for the possibility that the poison would be neutralized by Muzan, so we started researching and mixing different types of medicines. The first was the medicine that turns demons into humans. If that didn't work, we would use the second type, which is a powerful aging medicine. Tamayo's medicine can make Muzan's body age by 50 years every minute. So that's it. My body has been aging. Muzan finally understood. His strength had been constantly depleted to fight the aging. That's why this battle has lasted so long. When did she inject this medicine into my body? 4 hours ago? No, 5 hours ago. Even if the second medicine only takes effect after the first one is neutralized, it's been 3 hours already. That means I've aged by at least 9,000 years. Muzan realized he had aged by almost 10,000 years without even knowing it. Why didn't I notice my hair color didn't return to normal? When the crow announced that there was only 59 minutes left until sunrise, Muzan was distracted again. Scorching flame haze, shining ray of grace, fire chariot, waltz azure heaven, scorching crimson mirror, flame waltz. Tanjiro seized the opportunity and unleashed 3 consecutive sword attacks. Parhelion rainbow, the setting sun, bone burning sun, solar halo, dragon dance, sunflower lance. These relentless attacks infuriated Muzan. He had finally connected all 12 forms. Yes, before sunrise, I have to be more precise and repeat the 12 forms over and over again. This is the real sun breathing. Every form is meant to dodge and attack Muzan's weak points. Tanjiro was badly injured. He had completely merged with the relentless swordsmanship, forgetting his fatigue. But the burden he was carrying was too much. Could he really persevere to the end? Outside the battlefield, Chachamaru, who was sliced in half by Muzan, was still moving. Yushiro had put his body back together. Chachamaru was alive again. It turned out that before the final battle, Tamayo had turned Chachamaru into a demon. Yushiro then ordered the other team members to quickly check the status of the injured. Inosuke, covered in blood, was found not far away, along with Zenitsu and Kanao. The 3 of them hadn't been injected with the serum, and their wounds were only temporarily under control. Meanwhile, Yushiro found Gyome. Half of his left leg was severed. Yushiro bandaged his wound and injected him with the serum. This would temporarily wake him up from his coma, but he had lost his left leg and couldn't fight anymore. There was only 50 minutes until sunrise, but Gyome had fallen. Tanjiro alone couldn't hold Muzan back. Please, Tamayo-sama, no matter what, please protect him. Back on the battlefield, Tanjiro's swordsmanship was on par with Muzan's Fanji. But he wasn't just doing that. With such a high-intensity battle, he couldn't hold on until sunrise. So he had to aim for Muzan's heart and brain. He had to stall for more time. Just then, Muzan's whip attacked him. Tanjiro's vision was suddenly covered in a black mist. The high-intensity battle made him breathless, and he was lacking oxygen. His vision was getting blurry. Don't panic! Use my senses to feel the attack, he thought. He dodged it without any problem. But he didn't notice the broken rocks under his feet and almost fell. Muzan's attack was coming for him. A figure saved him at the last second. Who saved me? That scent, he thought. His vision finally returned, and the familiar figure was Obanai. But there were some terrifying wounds on his face. It was clear he couldn't see either. Obanai-san saved me. My eyes were already blind from before. And you're too noisy. Don't always worry about others, Obanai said. Even without his sight, Obanai still blocked Muzan's attack. Obanai, let me support you in your fight, Tanjiro said. My right eye was already weak and couldn't see anything. Moreover, I have Kaburamaru with me, so I don't need your help, he said. Okay, I'll let go then, Tanjiro said. Okay, Obanai replied. Just then, Muzan appeared silently under the 2 of them. Obanai immediately threw Tanjiro away, but Muzan targeted him. The horrifying attack caused the building to collapse. Luckily, Tanjiro wasn't hit. But before he could land, Muzan attacked him again. This attack was blocked by Obanai again. The snake was reporting the situation to him. My attack was seen through by an animal? Muzan wondered. Just then, Tanjiro landed and shouted as he charged at Muzan. Obanai also followed Kaburamaru's hint. Fire dragon! White snake! With Obanai's help, the situation had improved. On the other hand, Muzan's mood changed. The aging poison still hasn't been neutralized? I've already used so much strength to heal myself. I can't believe I can't kill a human who's so badly injured, he thought. At this moment, Muzan's attacks were getting less accurate. But Tanjiro knew that even though he had severely weakened Muzan, he was still very terrifying. Even though he had overcome the lack of oxygen, he could only defend himself now. He didn't have enough strength to enter the see-through world. So he had to find a way to break this stalemate and help Obanai. Just then, Tanjiro noticed that Muzan's body had changed. Scars appeared on his body. Scars? I see. Those are the wounds from Yoriichi that never healed. They've been constantly incinerating his cells for hundreds of years. Yoriichi is transcending time to guide us. Those scars are Muzan's weak points. In this darkness, Yoriichi has lit a lamp to guide us, Tanjiro thought. Muzan also saw that familiar face. That man had no malicious intent or hatred, not even the intention to kill. Not even the gods could have expected me to be defeated by a man like that. I even had to self-destruct to escape him. The wounds left by his sword were like sunlight, constantly incinerating my cells for hundreds of years. This is truly illogical. The real monster isn't me, it's that man, Yorichi. Muzan had no more strength to hide the scars on his body. This is our chance to counterattack. Tanjiro from behind and Obanai from the front used all their strength to attack Muzan. I will personally send you to hell, Tanjiro shouted. Just as he finished, Tanjiro noticed that the scars on Muzan's body were moving. He's moving his hearts and brains. If I can't see the see-through world, I can still aim for the scars and attack his weak points. But I can't do it alone. I have to find a way to help Obanai. After all, Kaburamaru's help has a limit. Just then, the crow announced that there was only 40 minutes left until sunrise. That's it! Yushiro's blood demon art! With Yushiro's blood demon art, I can, Tanjiro thought. The crow warned Tanjiro, but also reminded Muzan that sunrise was approaching. Seeing Muzan trying to run away, Tanjiro was shocked. This is so cowardly, he thought. Muzan is not a proud fighter. He's not controlled by emotions. He only follows the rules of survival. With sunrise approaching, his life is in danger, so of course he won't hesitate to run away. Seeing Muzan getting farther and farther away, they knew they couldn't catch up to him. Damn it. If he escapes, all the sacrifices made will be for nothing, he thought. Muzan was stepping on the corpses of the swordsmen without any remorse. This sight infuriated Tanjiro. Muzan! He shouted. Tanjiro picked up the swords of the fallen swordsmen and threw them at Muzan. These annoying insects still won't die. Based on his current situation, a stab through the chest is more dangerous than a stab to the heart. Suddenly, Obanai came from above and stabbed Muzan in the neck. Muzan's attention was all on Tanjiro, so he completely ignored me, he thought. Tanjiro also arrived, and a fiery slash deepened Muzan's wounds. I have to use this time to get a talisman to Obanai. Obanai, take this! Use it to share vision with Kaburamaru, he shouted. But Muzan's attack was so fast that both of them were hit. Wake up! Tanjiro shouted, urging Obanai to get the talisman. Tanjiro blocked Muzan's attack in front of him. I can't feel it. It's too small. Kaburamaru, I'm counting on you, he thought. Kaburamaru bit the talisman off, but Tanjiro was distracted and was hit by Muzan's attack. Thank you, Tanjiro, Obanai said. With Kaburamaru's vision back to its peak, the two of them would now attack Muzan together. The sky was getting brighter, and Muzan's body was at its limit. This battle was finally coming to an end. Outside the battlefield, Nezuko had arrived, but with a look of worry. Will she really become a human? Nezuko was walking slowly in a field outside the city. She could see the destination, but something was holding her back. The sweat that keeps her from moving forward. At that moment, in her human eyes, the faces of her family that had been buried in her memories appeared. My younger brothers, my younger sister, and my mother, she thought. I had a happy and beautiful family, until that night when a strange man broke into our house. Remembering this, Nezuko instinctively closed her eyes. In the screams of my siblings, that strange man emotionlessly killed my family. A single drop of his blood made them explode, creating a demon that can withstand sunlight. The memory stopped there, but the pain and hatred from that moment lingered. Suddenly, another image appeared. The person crying is my brother. The battle on that snowy night also came back to me, she thought. The images came back like a flood. The swordsman on that snowy night wanted to kill me but then protected me. The man with the mask told me that all humans are my family. This sister and that boy, their warmth felt like family. And that boy who was always screaming was so annoying, but he made everyone happy. And that boy with the boar mask always gave me strange things, but they were precious to him. So many memories were piling up in her mind, crushing her. The scattered memories were like tangled threads, impossible to untangle. But at that moment, a pair of hands reached out to her. The threads of memory were pulled, causing her a sharp pain, as if her mind was about to explode. Don't worry. No matter what happens, I will always protect you. With her brother's help, her memories were pulled back to the right path. My family was killed by a demon. I am Nezuko Kamado. At that moment, her eyes, her claws, her fangs, and her memories all returned. Nezuko had become a human again. Meanwhile, the battle continued. We have to stall for every second. I can feel them regaining their strength, Muzan thought. I was wrong. The previous attack didn't kill those detestable pillar. They're all seriously injured, but none of them are dead. Just as Muzan predicted, Yushiro is healing all the pillar, preparing them to fight to the last moment. I couldn't kill them because of him. This isn't just one person's effort. It's the effort of this entire Demon Slayer Corps. They all risked their lives to push me into this corner. Now the crow is announcing that there is only 35 minutes left until sunrise. The battle is almost over, so there's no need to take any more risks, Muzan thought. Muzan's action shocked Tanjiro. What's this? He wondered. Immediately, Muzan's arms began to swell. Tanjiro immediately understood. He quickly told Obanai that Muzan was planning to self-destruct to escape. He will turn into countless tiny pieces of flesh to escape. If he succeeds, we can't stop him. So we have to attack his 12 weak points at once. But at that moment, Muzan's swelling arm suddenly stopped. It slowly shrank back. This sight shocked both Tanjiro and Muzan. I can't self-destruct. That means that woman also injected me with a medicine that stops me from self-destructing. 3 types of medicine. The one that turns a demon back into a human, the one that makes me age, and now this one. Tamayo, you're wrong. Your answer is wrong. It must be 4 types of medicine, Muzan shouted. He then spat out a mouthful of blood. After the first 3 types of medicine weaken me to a certain point, the 4th will take effect. It will destroy my cells. Don't worry, the death you fear the most is coming soon. We don't have to be stronger than you to kill you. We just have to make you weak enough. Just as you used every trick to survive, we also used every trick to kill you. Tamayo is like a grim reaper who is constantly chasing and gnawing at you. Normally, this wouldn't matter if it wasn't for the scars left by that man's sword. The regeneration wouldn't have cost me so much strength. But Tamayo's 4 types of medicine have turned those meaningless attacks into a threat, putting me in this situation. I can't believe this woman could create such terrifying medicines in such a short time. They are completely different from the poison used on Douma. The first time I encountered them, it took me a long time to neutralize them. But you've all underestimated me, Muzan said. Muzan suddenly stopped moving. Tanjiro guessed it was the effect of Tamayo's medicine. Victory is near. It will come with the sunrise. Suddenly, a powerful shockwave erupted from Muzan's body. Both Tanjiro and Obanai were hit. When the smoke cleared, Muzan's chest had opened into a giant toothy mouth that extended from his shoulder to his left leg. The horrifying shockwave came from this mouth. Tanjiro was hit and fell to the ground. His body was convulsing, and he couldn't breathe. Do I have to just watch Muzan escape? He thought. The shockwave had covered the entire street. The crow who was watching the battle was also hit. What was more horrifying was that Kirya, who was watching the battle through the talisman, was also affected. I'm okay, don't worry about me. What about Obanai and Tanjiro? He asked. But the talisman's signal was lost. Only 25 minutes left until sunrise. Just a little more. Is there anyone left who can still fight? On the battlefield, Tanjiro was trying to get up to stop Muzan, but the shockwave had damaged his lungs. If this continues, there's no chance left, he thought. Muzan's figure was getting farther away. Is this how it ends? He wondered. Suddenly, a figure blocked Muzan's path. After what you've done, I won't forgive you, Inosuke shouted. Tanjiro was worried and told him to be careful. But before he could finish, Muzan's chest started to vibrate. He's going to use that move again. But the attack didn't come. He can't use his blood demon art. He's too exhausted. Zenitsu's arm got cut off, protecting us. And those people lying on the ground also ate with us. Give them back. You have to pay for their lives with 1,000,000 deaths. If you can't, then die, he shouted. Inosuke, in a fit of rage, charged at Muzan. He knew he was no match for him, but he was the only one who could fight. Tanjiro was worried, but he was also dying. Just then, a lightning-fast attack severed Muzan's arm, saving Inosuke from danger. Inosuke, hold on! Tanjiro is not dead! He's still alive! Zenitsu shouted. Tanjiro, you have to live! You will definitely live! You will go back home with Nezuko, who has become a human again. Your family is waiting for you to come home. Muzan was about to use his final move on him, but Inosuke came from above and blocked the fatal blow. Inosuke and Zenitsu were fighting without a care for their lives. They had to use their bodies to block Muzan until the others could get here. Tanjiro listened to Zenitsu and stopped paying attention to their fight. He had to find a way to save himself. If the convulsions are caused by Muzan's blood demon art, maybe my sword can stop it, he thought. He used all his remaining strength to lift his trembling hand and stab himself in the chest, carefully avoiding his vital organs. This is just a guess. If this can't stop the convulsions, the situation will get even worse. But his body couldn't lift his arm anymore. You're still getting up? Even after being stepped on so many times, you won't die, Muzan thought. One person after another, you keep crawling out from under my feet. You annoying insects. No matter how badly injured they are, as long as they can stand, they won't stop until their mission is complete. Muzan was also at his limit. This bloody battle was almost over. Outside the battlefield, Aoi and the 3 children were praying for everyone. I hope the remaining people can win and be safe, they prayed. Meanwhile, the battle between the beast and the demon was at its peak. Thunder-breathing, first form, thunderclap and flash, Godspeed. Even though Zenitsu and Inosuke were seriously injured, they were still fighting Muzan. Zenitsu was completely exhausted, and one of his legs was broken. His next attack would be his last. Thunder-breathing, 7th form, flaming thunder god. It was a move he created himself. It was so fast that Muzan couldn't react in time. Muzan's chest was almost sliced in half, but Zenitsu knew that without a red sword, he couldn't cause any real damage. Zenitsu collapsed from exhaustion. Muzan quickly regenerated his wound and attacked him. Beast breathing, 5th fang, mad cleave. Inosuke's attacks seemed random, but each one was meant to stall for time. But then, a flash of fire erupted from Muzan's chest. It was that terrifying shockwave again. Even though it wasn't as powerful as before, it was still too much for Inosuke. He was about to be hit, but Zenitsu, who was conscious again, was too far away to help. Breath of the sun! Bone-burning sun! An attack shattered Muzan's attack, and his arm was severed. The sudden appearance of Tanjiro showed that his last hope had succeeded. Scorching flame haze. Fire chariot. Shining ray of grace. Tanjiro was gambling that Muzan couldn't use the shockwave anymore, and that his tentacles were getting slower. Solar halo dragon dance. Scorching flame. Just then, Tanjiro spat out a mouthful of blood. No, this is not good. The internal wounds are too severe, he thought. Beast breathing. 6th fang. Jagged gnaw. Inosuke blocked Muzan's attack for him. Breath of the sun. Flame waltz. Azure heaven. Parhelion rainbow. Tanjiro thought. No, I'm not fighting alone now. My friends who stood with me are making a path for me. Get up! Get up! Any form is fine. Just cause him some damage. Please. My body. Move. Please. Step on my back. Again! Zenitsu shouted. Thunder breathing, first form, thunderclap flash, Godspeed. Zenitsu was not fast enough. Damn it! Beast breathing. Beast breathing! Sun breathing! Waltz! Mad cleave! Even though the enemy was the Demon King Muzan, they were no longer the weaklings they were before. Tanjiro couldn't stop. He had to keep attacking. Sun breathing! The setting sun! Solar halo! Damn it! My body isn't listening to me anymore. Thunder breathing, first form, thunderclap flash, Godspeed, Zenitsu thought. Yes, leave all your worries to the people behind you. Even if they have to use their own flesh and blood, they won't hesitate to charge forward. Solar halo dragon dance. Scorching crimson mirror. Sunflower lance! Muzan was pinned to the wall. He couldn't use his moves anymore. I will use all my strength to pin you here, Muzan. But then, Muzan's tentacles lunged at him. It was about to pierce his body, but a figure suddenly appeared and held Muzan's arm. It was Mitsuri. Enough, you bastard! She shouted. In an instant, she tore off Muzan's arm, but his other arm stabbed her. Tanjiro was worried, but he couldn't let go. Muzan attacked again. Sanemi also arrived. After severing Muzan's arm, he risked his life to pin it down to prevent it from regenerating. Tanjiro knew everyone was risking their lives for him. Suddenly, a crack appeared on Muzan's face. His entire face turned into a giant, bloody mouth. This horrifying mouth was about to swallow Tanjiro. Even though his body was trembling with fear, his will told him not to retreat. He couldn't let all the sacrifices be in vain. Just as the mouth was about to close on him, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. It was Obanai. He had used his body to shield Tanjiro. "The sun is about to rise! Hold on!" he shouted. Indeed, in Tanjiro's eyes, the sun was slowly rising. Victory was near. The bright sunlight hit Muzan, who screamed in agony. Realizing his time was running out and his life was threatened, Muzan's body erupted with terrifying energy. Obanai and Sanemi were thrown back, leaving only Tanjiro still gripping his sword. However, the shock from the close-range blast shattered his entire left arm. "Don't let go." His unyielding will told him to keep pushing, turning his blade red. Suddenly, a hand grabbed the hilt from behind. It was Giyu. With Giyu's support, the blade steadied and immediately turned red. Feeling a change in his body, Muzan coughed up blood as the brilliant sunlight began to disintegrate his face. In this life-or-death moment, Muzan had only one thought: protect his body, protect his flesh armor. Suddenly, Muzan's body began to swell, and he transformed into a giant baby-like monster. This flesh armor could help him resist the sun for a while. Tanjiro was suddenly pulled with immense force, and even Giyu couldn't stop him from being absorbed into the mass of flesh. As the glaring sun shone down, the monstrous Muzan roared in agony, rolling on the ground like a child trying to crawl to a place without sunlight. Through his spell paper, Kiria shouted with more excitement than those on the scene. "Don't let him escape into the shadows!" At that moment, everyone in the Corps vented their anger on Muzan. Members on the upper floors threw heavy objects at him, only managing to slow the monster temporarily, while people on the street drove cars straight into him. To block the monster, members of the Corps used a train car to obstruct the path forward. Their spirits soared as they held the train car, disregarding their own lives. "We will not retreat, no matter what," they cried, as the pillar were no longer able to fight. However, Muzan's giant arm slammed down. Just as it was about to hit, Sanemi, covered in blood, stood up once more and unleashed a wind-breathing form, severing Muzan's arm and saving everyone. At that moment, a chain wrapped tightly around the monster's neck. Gyomei had arrived. Aided by the other members, he let out an enraged roar and pulled the chain back, exposing Muzan's entire body to the sunlight, which began to disintegrate him on a massive scale. "He's digging, trying to escape underground! Attack!" Sanemi struggles up, gripping his sword once more, but someone is faster. Giyu has also arrived, but having lost an arm, the power of his techniques is greatly weakened. But he isn't fighting alone. It turns out Obanai is still alive. This is all they can do. If this can't destroy Muzan, there's truly no other way. The strong chain is torn apart. It's over. Suddenly, the spot where Muzan burrowed into the earth erupts with a large amount of blood. At this moment, sunlight has flooded the ground. Muzan lets out a tragic scream, as if lamenting his misfortune. He cannot believe that he would be defeated by these small humans. The Demon Slayer Corps had gambled everything for this hope. The bloody battle finally ended in victory. In the aftermath, Kiria shed tears of joy and relief before collapsing. After all, he was just a child commanding this brutal battle. After a brief moment of celebration, someone realized it wasn't over yet. Many injured people needed to be treated. A few members placed Gyomei against a wall and tried to treat him. "Stop. Don't waste precious medicine on me. I know my own body better than anyone. Help the younger ones." In reality, Gyomei had known for a long time. Whether it was activating the mark at the age of 27 or the wound on his thigh, he was beyond saving. "Promise me, this is my final request." After saying that, Gyomei slowly closed his eyes. Suddenly, he felt a hand placed on his. "Is that you kids?" It turned out to be the children who once lived with him. "Teacher, for so long, we've wanted to apologize to you for what happened that night. It made you sad, didn't it? But we really didn't run away to save ourselves. We knew you couldn't see, so we thought of getting the farm tools outside to protect you," another child said. "I was going to run and call the adults for help. So, that's what happened. Sorry. We shouldn't have chased Kaigaku out of the temple. But the reason everyone chased him away was for a good reason. We truly weren't lying to you, teacher. So that's how it was. Everyone wanted to protect him in their own way. But in the end, none of them survived until the next morning, clearing up the misunderstanding that had haunted him his whole life." Gyomei shed tears. "It was I who couldn't protect you all. I'm sorry." "Don't apologize. We love you the most, so we've always been waiting for you." "Thank you, kids. Then let's go together." "Let's go together." In the final moments of his life, Gyome passed away with a smile. For him, there were no more regrets. Sensing Gyome's passing, everyone cried silently. Mitsuri slowly opened her eyes. At this moment, Obanai was holding her. Obanai-san, we won, right? Yes, we won. Muzan is dead. That's great. I don't feel any pain at all. Maybe my time is running out. Me too. So don't be afraid. You will never be lonely. But I don't want Obanai-san to die. I feel like I wasn't much help. That's not true. Don't say that. Do you remember the first time we met? Of course. Obanai-san helped me when I was lost in the master's garden. No, it was the other way around. It was because I met you, a girl who seemed so ordinary, that I was saved. Your laughter like silver bells and the times you panicked over small things, even after going through so many hardships to become a pillar. You remained so optimistic. Talking with you was so much fun. It made me feel like I was a normal person again. I believe the other pillar thinks so too. Your cheerfulness and almost infinite kindness have saved countless wounded hearts. So as long as I'm here, no one is allowed to speak ill of you. Hearing this, Mitsuri couldn't hold back her tears. I like Obanai-san so much. Eating with Obanai-san is the most delicious because Obanai-san always looks at me with the gentlest eyes. Obanai-san, please, if Mitsuri can be reborn in the next life, would you take me as your wife? Of course. Obanai didn't hesitate at all, tears also rolling down his cheeks. As long as you wouldn't mind me, in the next life, I will definitely protect you so you can live a happy life. The farewell that had been kept hidden for so long was finally spoken. Considered different since they were young, sharing pain and empathy, they held hands and stepped into the next world together. This is Genya. Everyone is on the other side. Mom? Why aren't you going over there, Mom? Mom, you're here, right? I can't go over there. No, I really can't go over there. I hurt my own children. Then I understand. I'll go with you, Mom. Besides, if I go over too soon, Genya will surely be sad. Mom, let me carry you to hell. Let go of her! She has to come with me, you damned old man! You piece of trash! Let go of my mother! Whether it's this place or the other, it's no place for you. You are my son. With such a strong body, you should thank me. Amidst everyone's sobs, Sanemi slowly opened his eyes. You scum! It seems this battle did not take his life. Carrying the weight of Genya and everyone else, he would continue to walk on. On the other side of the battlefield, a member screamed in pain. It turned out he was being excitedly bitten by Inosuke. Lying on the ground and spitting up blood, Inosuke was still full of energy. Please, if I die, tell my beloved wife, Nezuko-chan. I haven't married you yet. Tell her about my heroic deeds and my undying love. Elsewhere, two members couldn't stop the heavily injured Giyu. Tanjiro, is he okay? Sir, you're very badly injured. Please let us treat you. Tanjiro, covered in blood, was kneeling, his hand still gripping his sword, with no breath and no pulse. A core member burst into tears. Giyu stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. Tanjiro, I couldn't protect you again. In the end, I'm always the one being protected by others. Please forgive me. The death of Sabito had left him with a heavy burden of pain, and the person who pulled him out of that abyss had now left him in the same way. Not far away, Nezuko was also running, but a heartbreaking truth awaited her. Muzan recounted his past. Actually, the shadow of death has always clung to me. Even when I was in my mother's womb, my heart stopped beating many times. When I was born, I had no heartbeat or breath. Even the midwife thought I was a stillborn baby. When the firewood was about to be lit, I finally cried out for the first time. That's why I always tried to fulfill my only wish and make it a reality. I achieved immortality. However, what can a body alone do? There are still limits. Ubuyashiki, now I must admit that you were right. All living things will die, only the will is eternal. Just as you said, the people who died at my hands, I never remembered them. The death of the body is the end. But what is the truth? The will is passed from one generation to the next like an undying flame. Even someone as powerful as me was defeated by it. I am truly overwhelmed by the truth before my eyes. Tears flowed uncontrollably. My body will soon be destroyed by the sun. But my will, like yours, is immortal. I will transfer my entire will into this child's body. Although his heart has stopped beating, the cells in his body are not completely dead yet, so there is still time. I will transfer all my blood and power into your body. If you don't immediately disintegrate but survive, then, Kamado Tanjiro, you will become the strongest demon king. After all, you are the biological brother of Kamado Nezuko. You carry the same bloodline as her, and you are the only one in this world who can use the breath of the sun, just like him. So I believe you will not die. Tanjiro, you will continue to carry out my dream for me. In my place, annihilate all the demon slayers. Wipe them all out. Tanjiro's severed arm instantly regenerated. Giyu was stunned. Immediately after, Tanjiro attacked the members next to him. Giyu instantly pulled the members away. The others still stood frozen, not knowing what was happening. At this moment, Tanjiro had lost all human characteristics, from his claws and fangs to his emotionless eyes. All of it showed that Tanjiro had turned into a demon. Giyu was the first to react, shouting for everyone to get away, but it was too late. Suddenly, Tanjiro's arm began to disintegrate. It turned out the sunlight had reached him. Tanjiro roared in pain and fell to the ground. The member who was almost killed by Tanjiro was still standing there in a daze. Don't just stand there, fall back! All who can still move, grab your weapons and gather around. This shout echoed through the street, but at this time, everyone was in a relaxed state, completely off guard. Tanjiro has turned into a demon! We have to keep him in the sunlight and destroy him! Everyone was stunned. We have to destroy Tanjiro before he kills someone! At this moment, Tanjiro's body was still continuing to disintegrate. He threw himself into a nearby train car, trying to escape into the shadows. But Giyu quickly used his sword to pin him to the ground. Seeing Tanjiro in this state, Giyu's heart ached even more. If he had been a little slower, that other member would have surely been killed. Please, Tanjiro, please pass on like this. Because he believed that if Tanjiro knew what he had become, he would not hesitate to end his own life. This was the best thing for him. But suddenly, the wounds on Tanjiro's face stopped spreading. He also no longer looked like he was in pain. The burns from the sunlight had stopped. How could this be? If he couldn't avoid this punch, Giyu's head would surely be crushed. Just being grazed by it made blood flow non-stop. The next punch was already coming. What are you doing? Inosuke finally arrived, but he still didn't understand the situation before him. That's Tanjiro! He's one of us! Zenitsu was also helped over by other members. But when he saw Tanjiro on the ground with the appearance and eyes of a demon, Inosuke was stunned. How did this happen, Tanjiro? Everyone is seriously injured, with no strength left to fight, and you've turned into this. What will happen to Nezuko? At this moment, Tanjiro could no longer hear anything and charged straight at Inosuke. Seeing Tanjiro, with every move wanting to kill him, Inosuke felt immense pain. We are good friends, like blood brothers. From now on, if either of us shows signs of going down the wrong path, both of us must do everything we can to stop them. So no matter how difficult it is, we have to live with honor. Wake up, Tanjiro! That's Inosuke! I have to stop you! Inosuke, I'll give you my fish. I can't, Tanjiro. I can't bring myself to do it. Because we're friends, we can't take each other down. Inosuke couldn't bring himself to attack. But right at that moment, an unbelievable figure appeared before everyone, leaving them all stunned. Standing in front of Inosuke was none other than Nezuko, who had turned back into a human. The sharp claws and fangs all dug into her flesh, but Nezuko was determined not to let go. Brother, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. Because I didn't know anything before, I made you carry everything alone. No matter what you've become. At this moment, Nezuko just wanted to apologize to her brother. Why do you always have to suffer? Why are good people always trampled by demons? Brother, don't lose. Just a little longer. You must not become a demon. Let's go home together. Nezuko hugged Tanjiro tightly. Now it was her turn to save her brother. But these words had no effect. Tanjiro roared to the sky, his power growing stronger, the wounds from his claws getting deeper. Suddenly, he used his strength to try and push Nezuko away. Stop it, Tanjiro! Zenitsu unexpectedly hugged both of them from behind, stopping Tanjiro's actions. That's Nezuko! Look at her carefully. She's turned back into a human. If this continues, she'll die. Can't you hear her calling for you? What are you yelling about? You can't hurt Nezuko! I know you're not that kind of person. Go back to being the kind and gentle, Tanjiro. Inosuke's punch seemed to have the opposite effect. He roared to the sky again, the power in his body exploding. Except for Nezuko, who was hugging him tightly, everyone else was thrown back. At this moment, terrifying tentacles like Muzan's had sprouted from Tanjiro's back. He crawled on the ground like a monster. But surprisingly, he didn't attack Nezuko. Brother, don't lose. His breathing became more and more rapid. Immediately after, a tentacle from his back struck at Zenitsu. Its speed was even faster than Muzan's. Water breathing, fourth form. Striking tide. Luckily, Giyu blocked it. He bit Nezuko. Now he's tasted blood. It's over. We have to free Tanjiro before he kills someone else. But how? Giyu also knew that neither sunlight nor the breath of the sun could harm Tanjiro. Now there was no way to destroy him. Suddenly, Tanjiro opened his mouth wide. A terrifying ball of energy appeared. The ball grew larger and larger. Nezuko cried out in pain, calling for her brother, begging him not to do it, not to kill people. Seeing that he couldn't be stopped, Nezuko, disregarding everything, put her hand in front of Tanjiro's mouth. The ball exploded, but it seemed Nezuko's intervention had an effect. Zenitsu dodged the attack. Seeing Nezuko risking her life, Zenitsu called out her name. But at this moment, only Nezuko could stop Tanjiro. Even just by covering his mouth, Nezuko's hand was bleeding non-stop. Seeing Tanjiro preparing to attack again, she cried out to stop him. Nezuko struggled and shouted in his ear not to use that technique anymore. Tanjiro seemed to be affected and didn't create another energy ball. At this time, Zenitsu and Inosuke were too heavily injured to fight, and could only try to call out to Tanjiro to stop. But why didn't he kill Nezuko? The food that was bleeding right in front of him, yet he did nothing. And why did his lightning attack deliberately miss? Could it be that he was still fighting back? If so, they just needed to help Tanjiro wake up. Maybe there was still hope, but now, could they perform this miracle? Elsewhere, Yushiro was hiding in the shadows, observing the battle. This isn't good. That damn Muzan was clearly destroyed, yet he can still torment the survivors in this way. Damn it. They are all in the sunlight. I can't go over there. Even my blood demon art would turn to ash in the sunlight. At this point, I can't help anymore. But just then, Kanao was dragging her injured body towards the battle. Tanjiro. Nezuko. How pitiful. It seemed she had made a decision. She took out a medicine box from her pouch. This is a secret medicine made from wisteria flowers. I was worried that the medicine for Nezuko wouldn't be enough, so I made this just in case. But Tamayo-sama had already prepared 3 doses of the turned demon into human medicine, so I didn't need to use it. That's why I decided to give it to you to hold on to. That person is truly talented, truly respectable. I still have one eye to see. It must be for this moment. Sister, he just turned into a demon. Maybe there's still time. Even with just one eye, it was enough to dodge Tanjiro's attack. Then, flower breathing, final form, scarlet spider lily eyes. When she opened it, her speed skyrocketed, like a butterfly. Tanjiro immediately sensed the person coming from behind. An energy ball shot straight at her eye. She jumped to avoid a fatal blow but was still injured, and the vial of medicine in her hand was plunged into Tanjiro's back. You can't, Tanjiro! Come back! Don't make Nezuko cry! The medicine seemed to have awakened Tanjiro's consciousness, but the price was very high. Seeing Kanao fall, Nezuko was extremely worried, but suddenly she felt a change in Tanjiro's eyes. Brother, please come back. Let's go home together, with everyone. Nezuko, I also really want to go home, but I'm really so tired. Oh gods, please let me go home. I really just want to go home with my sister. Please let me go home. What's the use? Your family is all dead. No! We still have happy memories. As long as Nezuko and I are alive, that's why I have to go back. Give up on those meaningless thoughts. Nezuko is already dead, and you killed her. No! You're lying! Suddenly, countless hands lifted him up. She's still alive. You're the liar. His family lifted him out of the sea of blood. Don't interfere, you dead souls! You can smell the blood of your comrades, can't you? That was all you're doing. They all hate you. No one wants you to come back. No! I want to go back to apologize to the comrades I hurt. Even if you apologize, they won't forgive you. That's not for you to decide. I can smell. Everyone is worried about me. Shut up. You must inherit my will. I won't allow you to be optimistic. I won't allow you to trust others. I won't allow you to have hope. Don't forget that you have to bear the price of the mark. Unless you become a demon. In a few years, you will definitely die. Muzan's remaining consciousness weighed heavily on him, constantly trying to force him. You must be completely selfish to grasp the endless life before you. No! Even if I die, I want to die as a human! I don't need any endless life! I want to go back to everyone's side! Clearly so many people have died. Do you still have the face to live on alone? Do you really dare to live on without any shame? That's right. It wasn't Muzan's words that changed his mind, but the thought of his fallen comrades. Suddenly, a familiar scent made him stop. Everyone was helping him. Rengoku, Gyome, Muichiro, and all the fallen comrades were supporting him. Those hands are your illusions. Have some shame. Stop right now. That's the smell of Shinobu-san. No, that's the smell of wisteria flowers. Suddenly, his head was covered in blooming wisteria flowers. A pair of hands reached out from among the flowers. He seemed to smell Nezuko. Brother, let's go home. Nezuko. Don't let go. Come back to me. You have conquered the sun. You are the rarest and most powerful being. Don't go there! Tanjiro, can't you hear the resentful voices of the dead? Why is it that only you get to live? Why did they lose everything while only you get to escape? You're lying, because I know they all willingly sacrificed themselves for others. They all hoped that others in the future wouldn't have to go through the pain and sadness that they endured. Seeing Tanjiro about to escape his grasp, Muzan also panicked. Wait! Please! Inherit my will and become the Demon King. In this world, only you can do it. Don't you understand yet? You are the one chosen by the gods. Only you can become the perfect, absolute being. Muzan's screams couldn't stop him, because everyone had come. Not just the dead, but everyone who was alive was also helping him. Everyone. The familiar sounds combined into one sentence. Come back, Tanjiro. Let's go home together. More and more hands pulled him back. Don't go. Don't leave me alone. Finally, he broke free from the restraints and merged with the flowers. In the embrace of the sea of flowers, Tanjiro finally felt the bright sunlight. As the petals scattered, he slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, everyone was by his side, sobbing. Nezuko was the first to react, calling out brother. Looking at the face under the boar head, Tanjiro asked, Sorry, are your injuries okay? Finally confirming that Tanjiro had truly returned, everyone cheered with joy. This little wound of mine is nothing. You'll have to spend your whole life making it up to me. Oh, and my wife too. Nezuko was startled by that. Giyu also finally let out a sigh of relief. For his body to have held on until now was a miracle. Next came the sobbing of the two siblings. Although this journey was arduous, they had finally overcome it. Not far away, Kanao lay on the ground. A corps member beside her was reporting the news of Tanjiro's revival. Seeing everyone embracing and crying, she smiled. And at that moment, Tanjiro also turned his head and saw her. It's good. She's still alive. The two looked at each other and smiled. Outside, amidst the cheers of the people, in a small house, Yushiro and Chachamaru were hiding. I knew it. You definitely wouldn't die. After saying that, he took out a strand of Tamayo's hair. It's all over now. Amidst everyone's cheers, the long battle finally came to an end. The 1,000-year confrontation also concluded with the destruction of Muzan. 3 months later, cherry blossoms were in full bloom. The petals drifted into the house. In a sickbed, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke were sleeping soundly. Nezuko was sitting quietly beside her brother, watching the cherry blossoms. The cherry blossoms are in bloom, big brother. They're so beautiful, she said. She held his bandaged left hand. Compared to me, your condition is so much worse. You can't even clench your fist, she said. I can only lift my arm up and down. From the elbow down, I can't feel anything. My right eye is the same. The eyeball is fine, but I can't see anything. But don't worry about that, Nezuko. Are you feeling okay? Tanjiro asked. Nezuko happily told him she was fine, but Tanjiro knew that the bite marks on her body would leave scars. I'm so sorry, everyone, he said. Nezuko immediately objected. No one cares about that. Don't apologize anymore. If you do, I'll hit you, she said. Her serious expression made Tanjiro shut up. It's so good that you're back to being a human, she said. Giyu-san thought it was over when he saw me bite you. Yes, everyone thought so. I also thought you couldn't come back. Yushiro said it was thanks to Shinobu's medicine and my bite that you were able to come back. Is that true? He asked. Yes. He said that since I had become a demon before, after becoming a human again, I would have an immunity to Muzan's cells. This opened up a new world for her, and she was very excited. Tanjiro also told her what happened that day. In my opinion, without either Shinobu's medicine or Nezuko's help, you couldn't have become a human again. You are truly a blessed person. As a demon, you had incredible physical strength, and you were able to transcend the sun in just a few seconds. You are even more suited to be a demon than Muzan. But in the end, you still had your consciousness. That's truly amazing. You've been through so much. You're amazing, Yushiro said. No, it was nothing. It was just luck and everyone's help. I was just joking. Don't take it too seriously. What a fool. Yeah, he lifted Chachamaru up and didn't forget to add, you're just a foolish student. Looking at your face just annoys me. I'm leaving. Yushiro, please don't die, Tanjiro said. You are the only one who can keep Tamayo's memory alive. After that parting, he never saw him again. He was truly worried. Oh, right. Giyu is not here. Is something wrong? No, they're fine. They're at Ubuyashiki's place, Nezuko replied. Thank you for coming. This is the last meeting of the pillar. Sanemi, Giyu, out of the 9 pillar, only 2 of you are left. So many children sacrificed their lives in the final battle, but luckily, we succeeded. So I officially declare that the Demon Slayer Corps is officially disbanded from today. On behalf of the Ubuyashiki family, I extend my most sincere gratitude to you for your dedication and sacrifice. Hearing this, the 2 of them immediately protested. Please, don't bow your head. You don't have to thank us. The Demon Slayer Corps could only exist because of the dedication of the Ubuyashiki family. Kirya, your command in this battle to defeat Muzan has made all your ancestors, including your father, proud. Hearing this, Kirya was surprised and started crying. Thank you both. Not letting down our parents is the best result we could have asked for. Sanemi and Giyu, who were never on good terms, looked at each other and smiled. The battle not only resolved their misunderstandings, but also made them respect and trust each other. On the other side, Uzui and his 3 wives came to visit Tanjiro. I heard you can get out of bed tomorrow, so I came to invite you to play. Hinatsuru gently gave Tanjiro some snacks and her address. Come and play whenever you want. Just then, Rengoku's younger brother, Senjuro, also came in. Tanjiro was happy to see him. Uzui told him not to be shy. I heard you used my son's hilt guard to fight. Thank you. If he knew, he would be very happy. No, it's thanks to Rengoku-san's encouragement that I was able to fight until today. I should be the one thanking you, Tanjiro said. The noise woke up Zenitsu. As soon as he woke up, he saw the children from the swordsmith village at the door. They had been noisy for days. Then the members of the Kakushi Corps also came. The room was packed. But no one noticed a boarhead sneak out from under their feet. Inosuke was hungry and wanted to find some food. Following the sound of vegetables being chopped, he snuck into the kitchen. Aoi was preparing a meal for everyone. Inosuke hid under the table and secretly ate, but was caught by her. How dare you sneak and eat? I'm not. I've swallowed it all, Inosuke said. He was sweating and wondering how she found out so quickly. Is she that powerful? Before he could react, Aoi brought him a plate of food. If you're hungry, eat this. From now on, this is your plate. You can eat whenever you want, so don't steal anymore, understand? Seeing her leave, Inosuke was stunned, and then he smiled from the bottom of his heart. After recovering, Tanjiro met Kanao under a cherry blossom tree. She could also get out of bed. "Kanao," he said. She smiled back. Her eye was also cloudy, like his. "This cherry blossom tree is so big," he said. "Yes, I heard the first swordsman who used flower breathing planted it and named it Victory, so I want to tell him that his wish has come true." "Yes," Tanjiro said. He thought she was very gentle. "How are your wounds and eyes?" he said. "My wounds are fine now, and I don't feel any pain." "Oh, right. The wind pillar was just here." "Really? I wanted to say hello to him." "I guess he's still in the butterfly mansion." "Then you should go," she said. At that moment, Kaburamaru slithered out from her collar. "He entrusted Kaburamaru to me. He's a very smart snake, so he can take care of someone with bad eyes." Tanjiro was happy that he was doing well. "So he can take care of me," she said. On his way, Sanemi met Nezuko. She smiled and greeted him, which made him speechless. "Back then, I almost killed her," he thought. But Nezuko didn't seem to mind and asked him about his wounds. "They're fine now," he said. Hearing this, Nezuko smiled even wider. "I'm sorry about before. I was unconscious during the battle, but I'm a pillar, so I couldn't help. Compared to me, you were unconscious for almost 2 years. That's nothing. I'm just a fool who thinks sleeping is fun," she said. Her innocent words made Sanemi stop. Sleeping, he thought. Genya also used to say that. At this moment, he felt Nezuko was just like Genya. He walked up to her, patted her head, and gave her a gentle smile he had never shown before. Nezuko was stunned. "Take care," he said and walked away, leaving Nezuko blushing. Zenitsu, who saw this, got angry and put Sanemi on his blacklist. Seeing their master and brother, Tanjiro and Nezuko ran to them. Everyone was laughing like a family. Not long after, everyone was discharged from the hospital. They went to the cemetery to place flowers on the graves of the fallen. Zenitsu cried, saying there were so many graves that they couldn't finish in one day. Hearing this, Inosuke started scattering flowers everywhere. Zenitsu panicked and tried to stop him, saying it was a bad omen. Seeing the two of them playing around, Tanjiro was worried, but Nezuko was happy. She patted Zenitsu's head like an older sister. As it got dark, Inosuke asked what Zenitsu was carrying on his back. "It's the ashes of our master." "Ashes? Can I eat them?" Inosuke asked. Zenitsu wanted to sew his mouth shut. On their way, they met an old man named Saburo, who Tanjiro once stayed with. They considered each other family. With the two of them playing around, the old man laughed. They hugged him and said goodbye. They then reached their destination, Tanjiro's home. The flowers at the entrance were in full bloom, which made the two siblings cry. They knelt down and paid their respects to their family. After that, they cleaned the house and lived there together, forming a big family in a small house. Laughter filled the house. Time flew by, and life went on. The scenery changed to a modern city with the sound of a train. What will happen next? Is this a new story or the end? You should wake up, or you'll be late. In a modern dormitory-like room, a boy with short black hair and purple eyes, Kanata Kamado, woke up. In him, you could see Kanao's silhouette. The person lying in bed and not getting up was his younger brother, Sumihiko Kamado, who had short red hair like Tanjiro. In another house, cheering could be heard from the yard. It was coming from the warehouse. A boy who looked just like Zenitsu, Yoshiteru Agatsuma, was crying because he was reading a novel written by his great-grandfather. He was reading the part where the main characters teamed up to kill the boss when he was kicked by someone. "Don't read these useless novels. Exams are coming up," the person said. It was his older sister, Toko, who looked just like Nezuko. Yoshiteru wanted to talk about the heroic characters in the book, but his hot-headed sister wasn't interested. He reluctantly went to school, but he wondered, "I heard girls in my family are all gentle, so why is my sister so different?" Suddenly, he was inspired by the novel. "Sister, do you believe in reincarnation? I believe that all the people who sacrificed their lives for peace have been reborn in this modern society and are living happy lives." But Toko wasn't listening. Suddenly, Toko was captivated by the news on her phone. It was about a famous gymnast, Tengen Uzui, who had just won a gold medal. He's not only handsome, but also has a strong personality, so he has a lot of female fans, she said. Yoshiteru was interested in another piece of news. A famous botanist, Kiona Ubuyashiki, also known as Blue, discovered a flower that only blooms for 2 to 3 days a year. The blue spider lily. He made the front page of the news for the wrong reason, though. He made a mistake and killed all the flowers. He was heavily criticized by everyone. Yoshiteru felt sorry for the beautiful person, but when he found out he was a man, he shouted that he should commit seppuku. In front of them, a woman pushed a baby carriage with 2 cute sleeping babies. Looking at their carefree faces, he thought they would have a happy future. The 2 siblings' argument made everyone around them laugh. 2 sisters walked past them, and Yoshiteru couldn't take his eyes off them. The girls from the neighboring all-girls school are so beautiful, he thought. Toko, seeing Kanata from a distance, was also captivated. The 2 of them seemed to be in love and were inseparable. Yoshiteru, watching them, started cursing them. They're classmates, and even go to school together. On the way, a kindergarten teacher caught his attention. He was big and muscular, but his pink apron didn't suit him at all. Should we eat at the restaurant with the white snake statue? Their portions are huge, one of them said. But Kanata thought it was a bad idea, because Yoshiteru had looked at the braided lady's boobs for a while, and her husband threw a knife at them. Toko's deadly gaze almost killed Yoshiteru. On the other side, Sumihiko finally woke up. "I'm going to be late," he shouted. He quickly got dressed, said goodbye to his mother, and jumped out the window. He performed some impressive acrobatics, showing off his physical prowess. On the street, 2 old men were leisurely playing Go. They were used to his actions, but still scolded him. The television was reporting that the oldest person in Japan was Mr. Ubuyashiki. He ran past a hardware store and almost bumped into 3 girls. A police car caught his attention. It seemed to be following him, but he couldn't care less. He jumped over the hood of the car and even turned back to apologize, which infuriated the 2 policemen with scars on their faces. "They came to arrest me. I've had 7 complaints filed against me," he thought. "I'm going to be late." But he saw some children on the street. "That means I'm almost at school." He couldn't hear what they were saying, but they were playing with a mask. At the school gate, a lot of students had already arrived. A boy was blushing as he looked at a picture of a beautiful girl on his phone. His friend teased him, "Is that your girlfriend?" He quickly denied it. Yoshiteru suddenly appeared. "I know who that is. She's a character in a painting by a mysterious artist, Yamamoto Yushiro. He only paints a woman named Tamayo, but he has a strange personality." When a reporter tried to interview him, he pulled out a hunting shotgun. Yoshiteru smiled and said, "By the way, her painting Crystal Flower and Tamayo is my first love." He then left in a dramatic way. Sigh. "I still don't know who he's talking about," the boy said. On the other side, Sumihiko met Tojiro, who was in the same situation. They walked together. Tojiro was always on time, which surprised Sumihiko. "I practice swordsmanship from 4 a.m., but I get so engrossed that I forget the time. If my father didn't slap me, I'd probably still be practicing." While they were talking, the police car caught up to them, but the 2 of them didn't care about the sirens. Tojiro wanted Sumihiko to join the kendo club. "It would be a waste of your athletic talent if you don't," he said, but that would mean less sleep for him, so Sumihiko refused. The 2 of them continued talking as they ran to school, with the police car still behind them. The teacher saw them and immediately tried to close the school gate, but it couldn't stop them. They did a perfect somersault and landed inside the school. The teacher was left to deal with the 2 angry policemen. On a park bench, Professor Kiona, who was in the news, sighed. "Even though I was almost fired, today is a peaceful day. I wish I could live a simple and boring life deep in the forest," he thought. But a life like this is still admirable. A phone call from the police station came to the Kamado house. It seems Sumihiko is in trouble again. On the wall, there was a long, black sword that looked like it hadn't been used in a long time. There was also a picture of a family smiling, and a pair of earrings. At this moment, the story of the Demon Slayer Corps has ended. Thank you for watching this summary. To stay updated with our latest videos and help us grow, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.